Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, y'all know what time it is. It's Living Split Screen in the Morning, your weekend morning podcast to get you all the gaming talk and all the gaming news that you may need to get your weekend started. I am one of your hosts, Steel Rain, and I'm here with one of the most uncanny gentlemen that is in these podcast streets. He's a brother from another, one of the most outrageous guys that I know, one of the most dedicated guys that I know, Pong Soul. What's going on, my guy?
Oh, brother from another Steel. We are back. Episode 15. Welcome, everybody, to Living Split Screen. It is Saturday. It is a beautiful day out. It is awesome to be here with Hype Man, the man who brings it every single time, and that is yourself, Mr. Steel Rain. It doesn't get any better than this. I look forward to this every single week, sir. This has been a crazy, busy week in the real world, but I know that I have my Saturday morning with you, and even if we don't talk, which this week, like, legit, we really didn't talk besides a few DMs back and forth, man. I know Saturday morning is going to come along and I'm going to be smiling and laughing behind the scenes, and we're going to be already had good conversations. We could have actually started the podcast in the green room.
Because we were already 45 minutes ago. Exactly.
Yeah, we were already talking serious business here, man. So no, it's just great to be here. Hey, I want to take this intro time, do a quick special shout out real quick. Shout out to the Iron Lords. Specifically,
yes. I love the way
specifically
you think.
Lord Cognito.
Love the way you think.
For people who don't know, first of all, Iron Lords is one of the shows, and I can speak for both Steel and myself. They are one of the shows of why we are here doing this right now. Yes. We look up to them. They are a fantastic group of gentlemen. They are a fantastic community. All their writers, from their writers to obviously Lord Cog, to King David, to Addict, to Lord Sav, just a great group of guys. But Lord Cognito this week, anybody who doesn't know, got introduced by No Taxation, better known as Colin Moriarty, from over at Last Stand Media. And introduced Lord Cognito as the newest member to the Defining Duke team.
Yes.
Huge victory for everything, for gamers in general in this community, because Lord Cognito is one of the best human beings in this community. Yes. And he represents us as gamers very well. So for him to be able to join a team like that, and raise that spotlight up for not just the Iron Lords, not just for himself, but for all of us, is a great accomplishment. And so I want to just give a huge shout out to that. Steel, if you got something to say, go ahead, man. I know you probably do.
Nah, man. So. I mean, you're hitting on all cylinders already at the beginning of the show. We definitely want to talk about that a little bit at some point running up, but it's an excellent point for you to bring it up at the beginning, because you were speaking facts. It's nothing but the facts. Look, man, to seek representation in this community is something that we're all, I feel like, should be searching for. Proper representation, somebody that has a soul, somebody that has the want, somebody that understands what we are gamers stand for. And Lord Cognito is one of the ones that does it the best, along with the whole realm and whole kingdom that they have over there, man. They're doing everything on a fantastic level, very passionate. And if anything, they're definitely role models to what we should be. Also, there's also people like Boom himself, Mr. Double Barrel Gaming, other representation, and people like RDX and Dealer, who also do that same thing for me. Again, these are all people that kind of represented the reason why I wanted to jump into this, kind of made me get out of my seat and say, look, let me just start doing it. Because I enjoy talking about it. I'm a gamer, always have been, and have kind of been on the outside looking in as far as seeing what was possible and realizing that there's a whole other community of people that really want to have these conversations, but want the proper representation. And that's through the energy, the authenticity, the organic nature that people like me and myself, now, so like that. But people like Pong That's what I wanted to say. And myself represent for this community is giving you those things while also giving you that live, raw, and uncut energy that only we can bring, because again, this is organic, this is natural, this is not forced, and I feel like that's something that's extremely important. We'll dive into some of those things later. Again, if y'all have not seen the topics, we're going to talk about Sony's house being marked, and I mean like a dog. You mark the territory, you get it right, primed, and ready to go so everybody else is scared. We're going to talk a little bit about what makes us gamers, right? Because everybody's had a mixture of things that they talked about this week, and we're definitely going to touch on those things, right? But then we also want to roll into, we want to talk to the industry a little bit, man, because time and time again, we're still finding that people are not only on the interview side, but also just as far as doing proper, I guess, news and reporting and journalism are still kind of being a little bit lackluster, man. And we want to talk to some of those things. But to start off with, Paul, have you been able to game in anything this week? Have you been able to touch any games this week, man? I know we talked a little bit in the green room, and it's been a really busy week for you. But you sound like you said you were able to touch on a couple things, just nothing too heavy.
Yeah, no, I actually I've been getting home late all week from work and really haven't wanted to jump into. I mean, I wanted to jump into Scarlet Nexus for sure because I love in that game, but I didn't want to jump into it for 45 minutes, and I knew that 45 minutes to an hour just isn't enough for me. I need to jump into that game for extended playtime for me to feel satisfied. Otherwise, I'd wind up staying up, and it would ruin my next day. So I controlled myself this week. So yeah, I've been jumping into oddball things all week. Of course, I got a little NBA 2K1 in there. I got to do that still, but I jumped back into Thief of all games. I don't know why. I was scrolling through, and I was like, all right, I haven't played Thief in a while. So I jumped into that. Again, just proving once again, I love to play old games. I don't care what anybody says. They still have value. I was having a good time with Thief, and actually played a little bit more of Mars Warlogs, which we talked about last week, which is by Spiders, the developer behind Technomancer and behind Greedfall, which we talked about last week as well. And Mars Warlogs was a 360 game. I think it might have actually been an arcade game. I can't remember. It's a smaller game, but it's an RPG.
Yeah.
And I got on sale for $1.99 a couple weeks ago, so I've been jumping back into then. It's old. I mean, it's a 360 game. It is what it is, but I've been fooling around with that, so I've been having some fun there. Otherwise, I'm trying to think. I did also jump into, oh God, what's the full name of it now? The one that just came out of Game Pass, Immortals. Jesus. It's the vampire strategy game. I can't think of it. Well, I can't think of the name right now.
Yeah. I'm
Immortals Bloodline. No, not Immortals Bloodline. God, why can't I think of it? Immortals Blood something. Is it Immortals Bloodline? Maybe it is Immortals Bloodline.
It couldn't have been that enjoyable because you can't remember the title.
It is. No, it actually is. Like I tried it before. I tried it. I tried the demo before, and actually really enjoyed it. And now it's on Game Pass, and it just popped in there. It's a vampire strategy game. You'll know it right away. It just dropped in there. It's something Immortals. I can't remember the freaking full name of it. Sorry, guys and gals, but no, really good game. If you're into strategy games. Really fun. If you like vampires, especially, get down on this game and check it out. I'm actually having a good time. It's got some card deck building to it, aspects to it as well. But kind of a cool game. So I was having fun with that as well. Steel, what did you? I know you were getting down on Scarlet Nexus.
Hey man,
for sure.
For me, this week has been. Just diving deeper into Scarlet Nexus again. The game just ceases to amaze me. As far as it ceases to amaze me, but continues to amaze me. I should say. Excuse me. With the combat and the depth and the story, development and everything, and how it pulls you into what it's doing. Right. Again, I'm gonna keep this spoiler free, but I will say that overall, the concept of what they're doing is pretty great, man. Whether it be just traversing through the map. Again, the moment-to-moment gameplay is my kind of thing. The combat is very diverse, especially as you move further into that brain skill tree or whatever the case. Using the different abilities to their kind of full of potential, because especially when you're playing on hard, man, it seems like the enemies just don't let you do whatever, so especially the bigger enemies. So you really have to, adjust, kind of figure out what your strategy is going to be. And then it's even worse when you're fighting, because there's chances like where Yuito and Kasane fight each other. And those moments are kind of, I'm not gonna say that they're over the top or whatever the case. I do feel like they're unbalanced in some cases, because at some points it's just, they feel like they're just overly powered or just ridiculous, or you're doing these insane combos to them and they're just eating them. It just puts you in a really terrible predicament, and makes you feel some kind of way. But other than that, man, I've been thoroughly enjoying that. I've started playing some Halo MCC again, like more on a serious tip, going on a competitive in the competitive matchmaking and whatnot. Just trying to, hone up on the Halo skills, because I was going to jump into Halo 5 more so, and Destiny, as I got some gameplay running in the background, some older gameplay. I might have used it before, for whatever the case, but it's just so I was getting off on this one, man. So I just like to bring it back. But other than that, yeah, I haven't been able to record any gameplay or nothing this week, and it's just been kind of life, man.
We got to get back to Origami, brother. We really do.
We do.
We got to finish Origami. Origami 2 is coming. We got to finish that damn game.
It's looking good too, actually. Origami 2 is actually looking really nice. I saw
they stepped it up a little bit.
I saw a post earlier saying that Origami 2 looks so much better than the first one.
I don't know. The first one looked pretty damn good for what it was, man. I liked it.
I would hope so. That it looks better, but yeah, man, we definitely got to get back into Origami. But again, if you're sleeping on Scarlet Nexus, don't sleep on it. If you're in the anime style type games, man, don't leave yourself out. Don't hide in the shadows on this one. Try it out. See how you feel about it. Again, the demo does not do the game justice. There's so much more depth to it.
I love the demo. It's still
yeah, man, just check it out. But other than that, Pong,
Immortal Realms. Wait, hold on, Steel. Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. That's the game.
Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. Okay.
Yep. Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. Game Pass. If you like strategy, if you like vampires, go check it out. It's a fun little game. It's not a AAA game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a cool little game. Got some sweet vampire powers. I mean, you are legit like real vampire leading your armies, and you can recruit. Check it out. Immortal Realms Vampire Wars. That's the one I was thinking.
Yo, just to kind of touch on, because I saw PK was saying he was nervous on picking up Scarlet Nexus, and I'll take this time to shout out some people in the chat before we really roll into the next section, because we're just grateful for y'all being here. But I also want to touch on what was the last Emperor saying. He was saying Scarlet Nexus looks kind of easy, and I'm not going to say that it's overly that it's hard or anything. It's not Dark Souls. It's not on that level of difficulty or whatever. And it's also not super punishing. But I'm not going to say that it's easy. I like to say and feel that I'm pretty skilled at a lot of games that I play. I like to play at a competitive level. I feel like I'm pretty good and consistent.
You're playing on hard, right, Steel?
I'm playing on hard.
Okay, right. And I'm playing on normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this discussion. I just wanted to let everybody know that Steel is playing on hard.
Yeah.
So it is challenging. Even on normal, it's challenging for me. Again, I'm not Steel Rain, so I don't have that skill level, right? Steel's on a whole nother level sometimes, right? So for me, again, normal, it isn't. I've died maybe 3 times on normal so far, right? And I'm 20, maybe 15, 20 hours in maybe. Okay. So for me, it's not over the top, like you said, Steel, by any stretch of the imagination. But I wouldn't call it easy. I just think it really depends on what kind of flow and rhythm you get into with the combat, with your skills and stuff. There are some battles that feel easy because you just get into a good rhythm. Right, exactly. And then there's other ones where the enemies do throw you off, because they do throw a mix of different enemies at you.
They do really well with that, actually.
Right, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're good, man. No, you were hitting on all the right points. I mean, you're exactly right. They throw you a variety of enemies, different enemies. Yeah, it's not like there's a huge range of different enemies or whatever the case might be, but they do at least give you a mixture of different types. So they'll give you some invisible ones, they'll give you some that, you know, can attack you through all your combos no matter what, and all the enemies are kind of like that anyway. Like, you can't just attack them endlessly, they'll respond regardless, and you have to be able to avoid those things. Again, I've had fights with the main characters of the stories, because you do fight each other. I don't think that's a hidden secret. You do fight. Yuito fights Kasane in some parts, Kasane fights Yuito in some points, and those engagements, at least on hard, the first time that I fought Kasane, I died to her 5 times. And you're doing like a 3-on-3 fight, and that's kind of one of my gripes, at least with the game, is that it gives you options to tell your characters what to do, but because you can't do it on the fly necessarily, like, yeah, you could pause the game and tell them each individually how you want them to fight or whatever the case, but whether you want them to stay back, attack the same enemy, attack a different enemy, or whatever the case that might be for that. But there's not a quick way to do it. So it doesn't make it beneficial to keep stopping the game to adjust their fighting style because they're dying. Because that's the other thing that they do, is that they get attacked and then they're just sitting there dying, and then you have 3 people fighting you that all have the same abilities as you, or have different abilities, I should say, but they're all powered beings fighting you, which, I mean, you can be as nice as you want, they still do mad damage to you. So, but it's been great, man, either way. Look, but Scarlet Nexus has been great, man. I don't know what else we were talking about. You brought the game up, but the next section of today, as we do, is upcoming games, man. We want to talk about what's releasing, what's coming out, what's maybe over the horizon. No pun intended. Pong wanted to start off with he wanted to actually switch it up a little bit and use a different site this time, just so we can get some more accurate,
using Games Radar this time around. It seems like they've got a little bit more updating to some of their lists than Game Informer was doing. So again, nothing's ever perfect by any stretch of the imagination, especially with the amount of games coming out nowadays. But obviously, it's still something that it seems a little bit more complete. So I'm using Games Radar.
Unfortunately, not every link is going to have something that we can click on for those who are watching visually. But at least for those who are listening in, and I know there's people like that. Again, I do want to shout out everybody in the chat real quick. Again, that's where I left off at, actually. Shout out to Jordan, it's in here, Wandering Dutch, Mr. Kima, Broken Control, HTK360, Mysuko, Geezer Prime, Back from the Dead, Assassin Looper. Shout out to the mod, Six Slayer, Mandroid. Who else we got in here? I'm just going down the list. Indie Gamer, Tool Man. What's going on? Double Barrel Gaming was in here earlier. Much love to Boom. Shout out. Much respect to everything that you do and everything that you represent within our community. You're one of the great ones. Last Emperor, what's going on, my guy? He was the one saying that he likes to play difficult games. I'm right there with you, Emperor. You're my guy. Joe Dunmore. And I know somebody was saying like that. I was saying, what would I say? Mass Erect, like Sov was, but it's like, how can you not say it like that? Like, you see,
right? Once you hear it, you can't. You have to
say it like that. Got Wandering Dutch, Assassin Looper. What's going on? PK, the Indie Gamer. Probably shouted him out already.
Stanley Francois.
Yes, sir. What's going on, beautiful people? Matt Barnes is in here. You know we can really get it popping and get it started. We're in here rocking and rolling. Look, man, if y'all could do us a favor, hit that like button, share it out, sub, tell your mama, your daddy, your grandmother about Living Split Screen. Tell your kids about us. Let them know that we're trying to get your energy up and your weekend started with some high octane, not only news, but just overall energy that only me and Punk can bring y'all. With that being said, we're going straight into it, man. I feel like I have everything pulled up again. We're going into July, man. July. It's almost the 4th, baby. Happy 4th of July to everybody. And to everyone that's listening to our audio platforms on Anchor, Spotify, or iTunes, man. Leave us some ratings.
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you. We love you.
Here we go. We locked and loaded, Pong. What we got coming up, man?
It's Timmy. I see you too, by the way, brother.
Oh,
Thanks for stopping by.
facts. Much love. Much love.
Yeah. He just jumped in. So this week, hey, if you guys didn't know, by the way, if you are a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber or Game Pass, I can't remember. I think it's the Ultimate Perks. You can get Space Jam: A New Legacy for free on Xbox. So make sure you go grab that. It's in your perk section. Fun little beat 'em up, old school style game. I actually did try that out. I forgot. I did try that out the other night too. I popped in it for a little bit. Got my Bugs Bunny on. Was smacking some robots and stuff around. But very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like. So fun game, and it's free. So what are you gonna? How are you gonna complain?
Yeah, I guess
so
you can. Yeah, you can't argue with that.
You can't really complain. So go check that out, guys, and grab that. This week, kind of a light week, but we got Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights coming out. This is a 2D RPG hack and slash style game with some hand-drawn animation elements to it. It is something to look up. This is coming out. It's already been out on, I believe it's already been on Switch and PC.
Right.
It's coming to the PS5, PS4 this week, and it's going to be coming to Xbox later on this year. So they've got this kind of staggered release thing going on. But if you're into, these the hand-drawn kind of 2D, almost puppet style action games, the way the characters move, it's a sweet look. I love these kind of games. So definitely something to check out. That's Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights, and that comes out July 6th. Then we've got A Plague Tale. Everybody knows A Plague Tale: Innocence, coming out PS5, Series X, and the Switch. And obviously this is going to be the next gen upgrades for the PS5 and the Series X. I don't think the Switch is going to get those next gen upgrades.
I don't think so.
So that comes out July 6th. Go back and play this game. I know I have to finish it before the next one comes out.
Right.
But it is an excellent game. And most people do know about it at this point, but definitely go check that out. Free upgrades. So looking forward to that. Then we've got the DLC for Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline DLC coming out July 6th as well. That's coming out on all platforms: PC, PS5, Series X, PS4, and Xbox One. I really like Watch Dogs Legion. I just haven't gotten back into it because there's so many games, and because of all the problems it had when it came out, it was one of those games I just dropped. And this Bloodline DLC kind of looks cool. So it might be something that gets me back into it. But you know what? At least they're still supporting the game. They finally got 60 frames mode on there. So if you guys are looking to hop back into Watch Dogs Legions, this might be something to check out. Or Legion, I should say. I always put it plural, but it's Legion. Check that out. Fallout 76. Here it is. I'm so proud of you, Steel, that obviously Bethesda thought highly enough of you to create a whole update on Fallout 76 in your honor. So Fallout 76 Steel Rain is coming out July 7th. That's right, people. If you want the Living Split Screen DLC for Fallout 76,
you got it coming out, man. It's coming.
I don't know when the Pong Soul DLC is coming, but right now you got the Steel Rain DLC, and that's all that matters. So go check that out on July 7th. PC, PlayStation, Xbox, of course. Out of Line is coming on Switch July 7th. I don't know what that is, but that is coming out on the Switch. And then we've got Sam and Max, the classic kind of story. Sam and Max are awesome, actually. If you go back and look at their stuff, they are getting a VR game, unbelievable, called This Time It's Virtual. If you guys don't know who Sam and Max is, go check it out. The dog and bunny duo. Those guys are absolutely crazy. The comedy in these games is really well done. I'm not going to sit here and try to claim that I've played all the games or anything else, but I have checked them out in the past. But go watch. It's pretty funny stuff. And they're getting the VR game on July 8th for PC. And then we've got Black Skylands for PC. Okay. No idea what that is, man. No idea.
Black Skylands, they no telling. They don't have a picture of it, nothing. So, hey, man, it is what it is. Guess we'll find out.
It is what it is. PC's always getting something, though, man. There's crazy amounts of games coming out. We got Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin. Of course, the Monster Hunter stories continues. Awesome game. I like the Monster Hunter series. Again, fell off with them. So many games, so little time to put into the Monster Hunter series. I know you're a big Monster Hunter dude sometimes,
Yeah.
right, Steel?
Yeah, no, I was a
Yeah.
big fan of Monster Hunter World. That's really the
Yeah.
only one that really pulled my attention like that. The other ones were on, I believe, handheld systems, and I never was big into handheld systems after after the Game Boy SP. That was kind of like my last Game Boy or handheld that I really got into, other than the Nintendo Switch, which I have one also, but my girls more so touch on that. But Hunter World was cool, and I always want to jump back into that, but I'm looking for the next thing in that Monster Hunter series that's going to take the world by storm.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, for
dive back.
sure. I mean, again,
This could be it. You know, who knows?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I lived on PSP, Vita back in the day, and then I kind of fell off with it. But I do love the Monster Hunter series. I think they're always so cool.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, the loot grind.
That's pretty much it for this week.
Okay.
That's what I've got. I'm looking on Game Informer to see if they had anything extra, and they don't. They had the same kind of list that we had here, minus a couple. Actually, you know what? Game Informer did have one more on their list. See, I'm telling you. Man, I wish somebody would come up with a complete list. On July 6th, Wise 9, Monstrum Nox. Wise is a great RPG series. A lot of good iterations in there. Some that are average, some that are really good. But it's a great series overall, and that's coming to Switch and PC on July 6th. So there is one extra one on that list that wasn't elsewhere. So
hey, there you go.
I do like the Wise series. So that's what's coming up this week in gaming. Again, smaller list, nothing huge coming out, obviously, but I think we all have probably plenty to play at this point. Steel, I don't think we're hurting for games.
I got plenty to play. I got Tempest Sun. Shout out to him. New type. You know, check out his content. The Gundam God, Gundam builder himself. I got him trying to rope me back into Black Desert Online, which could always steal another 1,000 hours of my life. Who knows? Again, with that unmatched combat, I just can't stay away from it. As an MMO, I've been sitting there attempting to kind of jump into Final Fantasy 14 for the first time because I've been debating it. But at the same time, there's so many other things that are coming out and other games that I want to finish playing before, I go back on my multiplayer escapade. That's the thing about me, man. I know we're going to talk about a little bit about what makes us gamers, and I guess it's a good segue, man. We can talk about.
Okay, hold on. All right, Six Layer. Hey, look. All right, credit to you, number one. Is correct, but I've always pronounced it, and the majority of people that I've pronounce it wise. We've always used that, knowing full well that wasn't the correct pronunciation. But thank you for reminding me of that, Sick. I can always count on somebody in the chat to come through. So ease, as it's properly pronounced. Thank you, Sick. I do appreciate you coming in because a lot of people probably don't understand, but most people that see that game just call it Wise. That's the way I've always done it. So thank you, Sick. I do appreciate it, man. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's much love. Hey, nothing wrong with getting a little correction. And I do as an anime lover, man, I do have that same kind of thing when people call Naruto, that really fucking bothers me, man. Makes me want to throw people on the wall. Like, bro, are you fucking serious?
But everybody's got their tomato thing, right? There's certain groups of people that just pronounce it a way because that's known that kind of way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That definitely could be one of those things where it's that situation. You know what I mean? Whereas like other things, it's just like people just being ignorant, right?
Correct.
But yeah, just to dive into it a little bit. What was I saying? Well, just talking about like what makes us gamers, right? I mean, that's like I wanted to kind of bring this up and kind of talk about it a little bit, just because. I mean, maybe not even a little bit. We might talk about this for a bit, but just because we're seeing a lot of different things that are going on within the community, right? Or just different forms of representation or journalism or whatever the case might be, that always makes people question what square they should stand on or their viewpoints, or make people feel like they should look at things a little differently, right? and there's nothing wrong with being objective, but there's also a point where you got to stand on your own square. And when I say, you know, what makes you a gamer, I'm talking about that square that you stand on. Why do you feel like you're a gamer, right? And it's something that people get questioned about all the time, whether it's achievements, whether it's trophies, whether it's gameplay, whether it's, hey, there's so many different forms of and different ways to prove how much of a gamer that you could be. So I kind of wanted to bring this to the table, Paul, just to kind of bring it, mix it up, because people have been talking about the whole Sony thing with all the exclusives and the buys and the Ghost of Tsushima drama all week. And so I want to kind of break it up, just coming off the back heels of, us talking about upcoming games, talking about what we're playing, and how we come in just week by week, trying to give it to the people that we're seeking to be some of the best representation for our gaming community, and why we why we feel that we can kind of stand on that mound, right? Why do we stand on this square? So I wanted to ask you, Pong, what makes you a gamer? Is it just the games that you play? Is it the way that you play them? Or when you think about what makes you a gamer, what is it to you?
I think for me, I have a very basic, because I don't discredit anything or anyone for how they come at this hobby. I think that if you have an enjoyment, if gaming takes up any time or space in your life,
Mm-hmm.
you are a gamer. I don't care if that's Candy Crush on your phone for 15 minutes while you're in the bathroom. I don't care. I don't have a strict definition of what it means to be a gamer. I think that if you at any point in your life, and it consistently, I'm not talking about you tried Tetris one time 15 years ago. Okay. That doesn't make you a gamer. Okay. I'm not going to be that loose with the definition. But if gaming does occupy a consistent space in your life, and I don't, again, we can discuss the death what consistent means. I'm just saying at some point it's a regular part of your your day, your week, whatever that may be, your month. I think that you are a gamer, because that shows that you are having fun, a hobby that was built on fun. And I, again, really basic here. I don't think that, for me personally, when I see somebody, I'm not going to tell you that you are not a gamer because you don't play like me, or you don't play like somebody else over here, or you don't put enough time in, or you don't play certain games, or you don't care enough, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to take away the label gamer from you. I think you're a gamer if at any point you engage in this hobby and find it fun, right? I think that makes you a gamer, because that means that is a part of who you are, because not everybody who engages with this hobby thinks it's fun. Not everybody gets entertainment. Not everybody looks at a screen, some pixels on it, moving around, and thinks, oh boy, I want to go do that. Okay. I'm married to one. My wife has zero interest in games. Okay. Whether it be mobile, zero interest in gaming. So there are just people out there who just have no attraction to it whatsoever. So again, Steele, you tell me, what does it mean to be a gamer? Do you have a different definition? I mean, do you have a more strict definition, or what do you think?
Nah, man. I mean, for me personally, I've never put stipulations of what a gamer necessarily is. Now, I've had different stipulations of what hardcore gamers are, and that's kind of what
different levels.
What's kind of given me like, for no puns intended, like a softcore gamer. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us are
pause.
A lot of us. No pause. A lot of us are hardcore gamers, but we're in between, kind of being casual and hardcore. And what I mean by that is not everybody has the time that they used to have to dedicate all their efforts to playing games all the time. Like, for example, just to give you a real base, right? For me, I work during the week, man. I work 7 to 4, whatever the case might be, and then I get off of work, right? I have a certain amount of time that I get to game or whatever the case, along with maintaining my family, along with making sure everything else that I may have personally going on is running smooth, right? So in between there, luckily, I may be able to get 2 or maybe 3 hours during the week. But honestly, I wouldn't mind getting back to a point to where I don't game it during the week at all. I only game on the weekends. Why? Because I can dedicate that time. Because when I game, I like to dedicate time. It's not just a couple hours here, a couple hours there. But that's also why I've always enjoyed playing multiplayer games too, because you can get in a match in less than 30 minutes and kind of time your, really get good use of your time or whatever the case. But whereas with story games, you have to get heavily invested in. For me, I'm not always the best when it comes to stories. And I also have the bad habit, or whatever you want to call it, of when I play a story mode once, I'm probably not going to play it again, no matter how good the game might have been. And that's always been a me thing. I'm like that with movies too, right? That once I see a movie once, I may not watch it again. Now, have there been movies that I've seen multiple times? Hell yeah, there's plenty of movies, but it's not like it's always a fresh memory to me unless we start talking about it. For me, being a gamer is much more than just a specific plastic box. It's having an understanding of the hobby, of the passion, of what you're into, right? Because you have other people around you that enjoy it the same way you do, but have been antagonized about it and made fun of all their entire life, like it's been this negative thing. And the world has always had this negative kind of inclination on what gaming is overall. Like when we was coming up, for me personally, especially in the 90s, it was still seen as a kid thing. And then I'm listening to y'all, the older crowd or whatever the case, say, hey man, it was the same thing for us. So now to see it become more of a streamlined thing, again, it's the #1 form of entertainment across the world. And now you see movie stars trying to solidify themselves within gaming. Why? Because you see that you can have longevity in it, right? And I feel like being able to recognize those things is what makes you as a gamer. It's not about whether you play on easy mode, whether you play on hard mode, whether you play on whatever other difficulty, what type of games that you like. Again, like Pong was saying, whether you like to play phone games, whether you like to play on your console, whether you like to play on your PC, it's about that, knowing that everybody as a gamer is differently and being able to stand on that square and say, hey, that game may not be for me and I don't have to like that game, but I do have these other games that I like and I can tell you why I don't like that game and we can have a discussion about it. Right? It's not just saying something's trash to say that it's trash. It's having the ability and the opportunity and the willingness to have open discussion in the gaming community, in the gaming scene, that makes us gamers. Because overall, that's what happens when we get together. That's what happens when we get crowded up. That's what happens when you get heavily invested into this scene, right? As a gamer, you see other people around you have a similar interest in you, and you're all gamers. Point blank, period. There's not, oh, Sony this, Xbox that, PC this. It's one central thing. And that's what I believe makes you a gamer. Now, if you want to make things more complicated, again, we can talk about what the differences in hardcore. We could talk about the differences in being a casual. What made it different for me, like for example, I came up as a heavy, like I always say, as a heavy multiplayer gamer. What separated the real from the fake for me a lot of the time was me playing an online game with you, playing PvP and seeing where you stood. We call people who play story-based games when I was coming up casuals.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Slandering me. You were slandering me, and I didn't even know it back in the day.
More than likely, a lot of people would see it that way. But that's what we understood as casuals. We, as the hardcore, were the ones that cared about our KD. We, as the hardcore, were playing at a competitive level. It wasn't always about, oh, I'm spending all this money on my equipment. No, you're an aficionado. You got the money, you're gonna spend it. You want a little bit of everything. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, like in the era that I came up in, I couldn't have every other game. When I hear from y'all too, it's the same thing for y'all. I couldn't have every game. I couldn't play everything. So with these games that we did get, we'd spend thousands of hours in becoming really good at them. especially at a competitive level when you get the multiplayer games, right? It was anything on the outside of that that determined that factor. But now it's like, especially since I've been able to take a step back, really look at everything, and like Timmy was saying, being a gamer to him is about being able to switch off from the world sometimes and trying varieties of different games and having fun with friends and meeting people from around the world. And that's exactly it. That's an excellent example. You know what I mean? There's so many definitions that you can give to what being a gamer is, and everybody has their own vision on that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's being able to come to a central place and say, you know, that it's not just about one thing or the other thing, or what makes you more important or more informed than the other guy. It's just speaking on things honestly too, right? And there's so many different levels to it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take a couple.
No, I think you bring up great points, Steele. And I knew you had more to say on it. No, just a surface level. No, I just, you know, again, people nowadays, and this is what I've had to try to get away from myself, because it's easy to fall into this as a human being, but we like to label things. We like to label people.
Right.
And we like to come up. We like to tribalize everything.
And we don't have
because
to.
We don't have to. Right. But it's human nature, because we like to define things. If we can't define something, it's an unknown. And for a human being, that's like, it's hard to comprehend, right? Yeah. So I think we wind up in this pattern where we always have to say, you know, we can't just say, hey, you're a gamer, I'm a gamer, we're all gamers, you know, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Then you have to start, you know, in your head, you start going, well, are you hardcore? Are you casual? Are you, you know, multiplayer? Are you a single player? You know, are you a professional? Are you an amateur? You know, all these kind of labels. And we try to make all these subclasses, when at the end of the day, I think what you're speaking on here, Steele, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're speaking on is you yourself have stepped back and said, look, I don't care. You know, I used to be this way. I used to think this way. I used to have a certain concept. Now, as I'm taking a step back, I'm just seeing us all as gamers, and as a community of gamers. That's the way it should be, because once you start breaking people off into these groups and labeling them, then all of a sudden you're creating division within what the community should be. And that's what we see every day on social media now, is this whole concept of a broken community, right? And again, we're a small part of it. And again, what we see the extremes on social media. We see the loudest voices, and this goes for anything in life. But the point being is we are separating ourselves from each other, when we should all be coming together at this point and saying, no way, we've got the number one entertainment business in the world, and this is to be celebrated. And I don't care if you are somebody that some people might label a casual, or somebody who just interacts, you know, for, you know, 15 minutes on their phone each day, versus somebody who's spending 8 hours a day playing professionally. We should all come together as one and say, man, we've got the greatest entertainment hobby in the entire world right now. And we are living in the golden age now. And this is something that we should all be happy about, no matter where you're playing, no matter who you're playing with, no matter what you're playing. That's what this is about, is a celebration. And again, when we break it down and we start labeling everybody, there's a point to doing that. If you're having specific discussions about things, there's a point to doing it. Like, not everybody's going to jump into a podcast like we do and talk in depth on gaming, right? That's not everybody's level of interest in gaming. So when you're having specific discussions, it's broken out that way. But overall, the community as a whole, we are all gamers, and that's what should be celebrated.
No, I mean, essentially, I mean, you're hitting all the right points. And I mean, again, when I say I was taking a step back, as far as like, because I was always, I felt like I was always thinking of like, not necessarily in a box, but within this circle, that if you had to be a certain way or whatever the case might be, to be a hardcore or somebody that was invested in gaming, more so, yeah, I've taken a step back and say, yeah, everybody's a gamer, but I've always thought that. I've always been defended people and stood in front of people that got bullied for being a gamer or being a nerd or being into whatever they were into. And I feel like there's more important things that we could be talking about, again, for like our data plans and internet being so expensive, and us still having data caps, and us trying to move further into the future with internet speeds and servers and all this crazy things. Now we're getting into the cloud, and there's other important things that we could be talking about to further future proof our communities than us fighting amongst each other about what makes us different, because you're going to click with different people naturally. Like Pong says, he always says he's a single player dude, right? But then I hop into a multiplayer game with him and he holds his ground. Like, that's dope as hell to me. You know what I mean? And not only that, we're generations separated, right? But the level of respect is still there. I'm not expecting it. Like, I don't ever expect for anybody to be the greatest, but I do expect for people to be honest about their skill levels and how you play and everything else, because I feel like as gamers, you shouldn't be judged on that. If we're not meant to play together, we're not meant to play together. There's millions of other people that you could play with. There's communities that get built up for specific types of gamers right now. Like, you can go to Reddit, you can go to Discord, you can go to YouTube and find whoever you want to, get involved with and talk in the comments, and people will want to link up with you, because that's how we are as gamers, and people want to test out your different skill levels. Now, can we be toxic on that forum too? Yes. But I feel like it's always important to keep that level of understanding in mind, because we as gamers are so critical on ourselves all the time, not realizing how critical everybody else still sees us. Right? We get still, how beneficial gaming has been to millions of people on a health form, for mental health overall. We've seen how it's blown up over this whole time of the pandemic or whatever the case might be, keeping people from going stir crazy in the house. It's blowing up even bigger than it ever could have because of this. And it's only propelling us more forward. We're seeing astronomical numbers in gaming that a lot of people are just so surprised about. Oh, I didn't know people cared this much. And it's like, we've been trying to tell you guys this. Again, it's like having art or any other hobby. That's my main thing about it. It's like, what makes you a gamer? What makes you proud to be a gamer, right? Well, that you could say that, because I'm not ever ashamed of saying it. It's like that, oh, I play games. Like, what's up? What else do? You work out, right? That's a hobby. That's a passion. That's what you like to do. I play games. You like to ride bikes, you like to tune up cars, you like to do, and people can throw that, oh, well, one's realistic and one's, you're in the real world, the other one's in this fantasy world. But thousands of people, there's people who dedicate their lives to putting these pieces of art to life and dedicate themselves to bringing so much passion and energy and dedication to the craft, that they bring these worlds to us, and we as gamers enjoy that and sit here in the end run after everything we've looked through the last like almost 50 years of gaming, and want to argue with each other about plastic boxes, or argue with each other about what system's better, or it's that old mentality of, oh, my shoes are better than yours type of deal, or my car's better than yours. And again, like you were saying, Paul, everybody's going to click in one way or the other, try to click up and make their communities, and that's cool. There's billions of people in the world. That's a natural human thing to do. But just having an understanding that gaming is so much more than, we can have our selfish opinions, but let's be unselfish in our biases. Let's be unselfish in our understanding. Let's be unselfish in our level of communication. It's like, we don't have to just say, if you're gonna call something trash, explain to me why it's trash. Let's have a conversation. Let's agree to disagree. You know what I mean? That's what makes this space unique. You can easily do that and not fight about anything, right? And then go back to real life, because this is supposed to be a separation. But that's why I wanted to bring it up. In chat, man, y'all tell us what makes you a gamer. What do you feel? What's important to gaming? Why do you think that a game is important? Is it the health reasons? Is it the escape? Is it the, being able to find a community to click together with people that you potentially can meet one day and they can live down to be your brother, like your brother from another, for example, like me, like Pong was. You know what I'm saying? This started off of Paul hit me in a message saying, yo, I love what you're doing. And now we're doing a podcast. We're 15 episodes in, 15 weeks in, off and on communication. We're like the best of friends. You know what I mean? It's being able to find those links and those bonds and everything. I feel like it's so much more important, right? Geezer Prime in the chat is saying video games are like cartoons. Nothing is impossible. Endless possibilities and creativity. Like Geezer, you're speaking truth. I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? Just because I like playing competitive games, you might like not playing competitive games, right? But that doesn't mean we can't find a healthy balance, or we don't have to play together. But it doesn't mean that we can't talk about it. We can't speak on what makes us different, and while we're speaking on what makes us different, we're also bringing each other closer together. You know what I mean?
And fun speculation, he said a hardcore gamer knows that they are based upon how they would feel if gaming was taken away.
See, and I agree with that.
And that's another good point too. There's a lot of people who do play games that if gaming went away, they'd be okay with it. But for some of us, it would be a big giant loss, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
In our life.
Exactly.
Oh, and that is a difference. And I think Assassin Lupa brought up too, maybe the difference between hardcore and casual is hardcore promote gaming and casuals just play. And that's exactly what we were talking about as well. Not everybody's going to jump into a podcast. Not everybody's going to follow the industry. Not everybody's going to get into the business side of the gaming industry and care enough about it to go that deep. The same goes for any hobby, right? Sports. There's people who just sit down every Sunday and watch the NFL, but they certainly don't look up stats and they don't keep up with all the latest moves and not reading news every single day. They're not playing fantasy football. There's that broad spectrum range, and it's correct. And it takes all of us together to make the industry what it is. Otherwise, the industry would have remained small, and we would still be those that were enjoying it would still be bullied like we were back in the day. And a lot of the stigmas that, yes, some still do exist, and we talk about that at length still, but a lot of the stigmas have been erased compared to when I was a kid, and even you've talked about some of your experiences too. But certainly when I was a kid, it was a completely stigmatized hobby that it was crazy. You were just a child if you were playing video games after a certain point in your life, right?
It still was. For me, it was the same. It was still the same thing. And it's still in 2010. And when I graduated high school, it was still, it was still looked at that same way, right? That's what it was. I mean, you're just wasting time, not knowing that I am potentially one of the elite in whatever game that I'm playing, and playing at such a high level that I could potentially make millions of dollars off of this next tournament that I play in, or I could potentially get sponsors or whatever else the case might be that could support this hobby that I'm doing and really, put me in a space that I might have not necessarily been in before. There's so many other opportunities and things that could have happened, and I feel like those are more important things to speak to, right? Again, that's what I mean when I'm saying what makes you a gamer. What makes us gamers, and why do we feel like we can speak to it, right?
Right, exactly. And I think it's important that we do define that for ourselves, because we're out in the world and we're talking about people who may not game. We want to represent gamers in the appropriate light. We talk about that all the time too, Steele. You talk about how, it's corny, right? There's a bunch of corniness still going on, right, with the community. And when you're out and about, like Mav just said, people still look at gamers differently because it's some people still see it as unproductive. But myself at this point in my life, like I still get that from certain people, coworkers and stuff, but I can have a discussion with them, and I have had the discussion with them, because they'll be like, "Oh man, are you watching this TV show? Are you watching this TV show?" And I'm like, "No, I no, because I'd rather be interacting personally with my TV, and so I play video games. If I'm going to sit in front of the TV, I'm playing video games." Now, of course, there are times, when I'm spending time with the wife or whatever else, we're watching TV, that's different. But then I always ask them, I see, do you see, and sometimes, I have in the past gotten looks from coworkers like, oh, you game? And I'm like, oh, tell me what's the difference? You're spending all this time watching Netflix, right? What's the difference when I'm just decide that I'm doing something different with my TV by interacting with it with a video game? So tell me why that's different in your head. And then they step back and they think about it and they're like, well, you're right. It's probably not that different. And I'm like, exactly. It's not that different. We're just choosing different
Any
ways.
other hobby,
And
right?
again, right. It's a hobby. And do I know that, again, this is the funny part. Like you can come up against somebody who is highly productive in their life and waste zero time of their life whatsoever. And that's their choice, how they spend their time. And do I know that I could be doing something that could be different outside of video games or watching TV that could potentially be much more profitable for me down the road? Absolutely. I do understand that, but it's my choice. And it's my choice. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that gives me happiness within myself when I sit down and play a video game, right? And for me, that's more important. The memories I have from a video game are just as important as any other memories that I may carry with me that put a smile on my face. It's just me. Everybody's got to make their own choice. But I think as gamers, we have to go represent the community. My original point being is that gamers have to start representing the community in the appropriate light. None of that corniness, none of that garbage. And if you're talking to somebody who may not be a gamer, PlayStation's the best, Xbox sucks, right? You don't want to come off that way. You want to try to represent gamers the way it should be, as, hey, no, this is just a hobby like any other hobby, something that brings joy to my life. And you know what? I hope someday maybe you check it out, because you might realize that all of a sudden you're a gamer at heart too, and you might find you might find something that you like as well.
Yeah.
That's the way that we have to represent ourselves out there in the real world. So
yeah, I mean, and I guess while we're on this same kind of path, we'll kind of dip into, talking to the industry a bit, because I know you were speaking to that in the background, how you had some things that were kind of on your mind that were bothering you a bit, man. I mean, again, it's not. We do want to bring you guys the news, but we also want to bring you guys passionate gaming talk, right? Where it's something different. You're not hearing you're not hearing iterations of the same thing over and over and over again. Like, yeah, I understand that you guys may love our opinions and whatever the case, and that's cool. I mean, because again, me and Pong could do this for hours on end and talk about whatever. But at the same time, we also want you guys to know that we're real people. It's not things have to be a certain way, and we have to talk about things in a certain way, and we got to be like everybody else. It's also just talking about the industry and all, and how we feel about it, right? And again, I mean, you were hitting on all the right notes. So before I pass it right back off to you, so you can expound on some of the issues that you have with how people address people like Phil Spencer in the industry, these icons that we kind of look at and really want to be able to dive deep with. Excuse me, god damn, I don't know why it was so hard to get out.
You got it, no worries.
You know what I mean? But what it's hard to dive deeper with these top guys that we would want to dive deep with. But man, it's I saw other people in the chat saying, I still play games, I don't care what people think. And that's kind of the mentality that you got to have, right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, there's a lot of people who feel like that. It's like, you have to care, but not care, right? You have to understand that gaming isn't different from anything else. Whether you're choosing to go outside and go hiking, you want to go ride bikes, you want to go, mountain climbing, you want to go do whatever else the case might be. If that's your hobby, it's still your hobby at the end of the day. Just because our parents and stuff used to buy $1,000 TVs just to watch television on them, like, you know what I mean, or watch movies, or anything, sound systems for the house to play music or anything else, and you're spending that time playing the game or listening to music on social media, all doing maybe a multitude of different things. I'm just kind of talking through all your passions, right? And it kind of just brings notice to the industry overall, just speaking on it, just because we have to be able to identify some of the problems that we just have within the industry. I mean, like you were kind of speaking to earlier, we have people like the people from IGN. And I'm not gonna speak on specific names, but I mean we can, but that we feel like I've kind of taken the soul out of caring per se, or at least speaking to it in such a way where you can care. And I always come from the aspect, look, I understand after you've been doing something for so long, it becomes dead to you. Like that's kind of why I don't know how I would feel about gaming being necessarily a job, because then would you still have the love for it, right? And everybody's different on that fact, because I'm of the mind, like, I'm going to play, especially over the years, I'm going to play what I enjoy. And like Pong always says, play what you love what you play. Because if you're not going to have fun with it. And that just takes the soul out of you, right? So, and you being pigeonholed into feeling like you got to do a specific thing. It's like when streamers blow up off of a specific game and then feel like they have to play that game to continuously exist. And a lot of the cases, that's what it is. But for me, I would never want to be pigeonholed in that kind of aspect, unless I'm just really passionate about that specific game.
Because it causes burnout.
It causes burnout. Eventually. Yeah, exactly. But kind of like what you were speaking to in the background, though. I mean, how are you feeling about the industry and where it's going, man? Like, as far as like how journalism and everything is, and how just like the representation and everything.
This is a big topic, and like I only touched on the surface level, and like I've thought about this for a long time, right? Anytime something gets extremely popular, goes mainstream, I feel, and again, this is a personal feeling, and not everybody's going to agree with me on this, but I feel that there is a yin and yang, a dynamic that happens, that when something goes mainstream, or the more popular it gets, the more people that are brought into it. Right. First of all, number one, people coming into something is great, because it means it grows, and we get things, we get experiences, and I'll just talk from a video game side, but this pretty much goes for anything, but we get experiences, we get content, we get a lot of bonuses to having a industry like video gaming go mainstream. There's a ton of positives, but there's also, I feel, negatives that happen, right? The more people that are in something, the more bad eggs that you have, right? The more people that are into something, the more chance you have of coming across a toxic person, a negative person, right? Something, even if they're in that industry and they enjoy it, supposedly, the more chances you have of running into somebody who's going to try to bring you down, right? That's what happens in anything. The more people you get together, and we see it right now, as we were just talking about, Steel, the tribalism, the labeling, gatekeeping, whatever you want to call it, the bigger chance there is of that happening, the bigger something gets. Right. You also have the the corporatization of that that you love, right? And so with video games, I've watched this happen, right? So video games, it's funny because we were just talking about how it's changed, right? From a personal standpoint, a lot of the stigmas have gone away from it, and we've broken through a lot of barriers that used to be there. But what happens as well is you get this corporatization of everything, and it becomes, sometimes we see things become soulless because they become so big, and because then it becomes the money, and it becomes the big business side of things. The passion is lost along the way. And I think that's why we've seen, Steel, and you and I have talked about this private. We've talked about it on our show. We've talked about it on other podcasts. I think that's why we've seen the rise in YouTube, especially, and podcasts in general, from a smaller point of view, because a lot of the big names like IGN, to me, have become zombies, right? They've become a soulless entity. And I'm not talking about the specific people within that at all, because I think there's some people who are obviously extremely passionate about the industry, made it their career, and have done a fantastic job of pushing us forward as a community, as a industry as well. But I think that they have, to some degree, because it is now monetized to the degree it is, which, hey, again, I'm all about capitalism. I'm all for it. Make as much money as you can, however you can. I don't care. But at the end of the day, people lose touch with what initially got them there, right? And we see that all the time. And I have a hard time right now watching some of these. Again, there's been a lot that have disappeared completely, right? We've seen through the years, but I have a hard time watching a lot of people and a lot of companies that first were my mainstay, my go-tos within this industry, to hear news, to learn about what was going on in my favorite hobby, to see where they are now, to see to see what they've become is heartbreaking in a lot of ways. Watching that IGN interview with Phil, after watching Phil do interviews with smaller podcasting teams, the difference was night and day. And you saw, again, I'm not going to call it, well, I'm just going to say it because it's important. Ryan McCaffrey has been in this industry for a very long time. I've watched Ryan McCaffrey for an extremely long time in this hobby. He obviously loves this industry. I am not going to take that away from the guy. He is a gamer through and through, 100%. How he approaches interviews, how he approaches this industry at this point
comes
is
across
disappointing.
soulless.
It becomes across as a corporate, a wannabe Hollywood, wannabe mainstream media kind of approach. And I hate that. He's lost touch with what made him get into it in the first place in a lot of ways, to me.
And what's funny about that, Pong? I don't mean to interrupt you. What's funny about that us saying that is going to more so come across as like, as attacking him as an individual instead of looking from the outside in and just trying to be honest as a gamer, trying to talk to another gamer who knows, I grew up with you, dude. I knew what you meant to the gaming scene and how you reported on gaming. You were one of the number one guys that I've seen. Just speaking on Ryan as an individual, you were the number one guys that I've seen speaking on this entire genre, especially for the Xbox side, and was holding it down. Why people had so much doubt about gaming and what Xbox was just bringing, Microsoft was bringing into the industry, and now see that you've gotten to a point where you just don't come across as in it anymore. And I can't tell you what's going to bring that back other than you might need a break or do something that's a little more enjoyable to you, because I can feel it. I can see it. Like Pong was saying, it's a shame when a smaller YouTube channel is able to have more energy or more feel, have a more authentic, organic nature to them than you are. And you've been doing this for 500 plus episodes. For X amount of years, almost a couple decades at this point. Like it's not about being fake at this point. It's just being honest to what it is. Moving to a different direction, or if this is just the easy path for you, then it is what it is. Respect, dude. You doing what you want. It's just like you were saying, Paul. It's just like people do come across like as if they're not grateful for the position that they have, because again, if gaming was out of the window, then what? What are you going to talk about then?
And I don't even know if it's a time. Yeah, a break can help some people, but I just think you got to reconnect with community as a whole. I think that they've lost so much. Like I can't sit here because you'll never know somebody's heart. You'll never know somebody's true inner feelings, right? That's like, it's like the worst thing you can do is try to judge somebody that way. But what I would say to somebody like a Ryan McCaffrey or IGN as a whole, stop looking, or what it feels like to me is that they look down at us smaller YouTubers.
That's exactly
and I'm not just
what
talking
they
about
do.
you, Mean Steel. I'm talking about the YouTube community in general. They look down upon us, or they look at us as competition, as taking away from their, their ivory tower that they have built all these decades long. and they feel that we're like kind of a threat sometimes as well. I've
Mhm.
seen that too. And I say, if that's your mentality, you have to get away from that. Come down, come down, start watching some of these podcasts, not just all the big boys, right? Start watching the ground level podcasts like us, like Boom, Mr. Boomstick obviously has a huge following, but again, in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things, he's still small, right?
Mhm.
Come down and start watching some different podcasts. Hear from gamers who are passionate enough to give their time for free on podcasts to speak about this stuff, because that's how you're going to get a true feel for what the community is thinking, and the direction that
Yeah.
the gamers are going or want to see the industry go in, right? That's how you're going to reconnect and understand that when you're speaking to somebody, when you have access to somebody like Phil, a lot of us in the gaming community would love to have. And Phil,
Oh yeah.
again, from a company standpoint, Microsoft is on another, Xbox is on another
He's the
level.
perfect example of how you talk about gaming and stay enthused
Correct.
about it. Y'all can say that's his
He
job,
hasn't lost it,
but he
but
hasn't
he hasn't
lost it.
lost it.
He's not
And
soulless. I can still feel it.
he's the head of one of the most powerful one of the most powerful companies within the industry, and the
Yeah.
man still has not lost it. The man can sit down and chat with you about Destiny all day long. Again, he plays with people in the community. Again, that's what I was saying, is Xbox is a prime example of staying connected with your community.
Right.
IGN needs to learn from that, and big corporations like that need to learn from that, that is not a detriment to what you're doing. It actually adds to what you're doing, and it keeps you engaged and understanding about who you're trying to speak to.
Right.
Because I think that's what they've lost. Again, watching an interview like I did with Phil versus the interview he did. What was the name of the show? Steel. Sorry, I lose it every
Oh,
time.
Drop
What was the
Frames.
name? Drop Frames, right. Watching that interview with Drop Frames, and Drop Frames have been doing what they do for a very long time. They got a good following. Dude, those guys are great. But you could just tell the difference in the atmosphere between those two podcasts. I would have sat there and listened to them interview Phil for 5 hours on Drop Frames. I could barely make it through the short segment that IGN had, because it was so just dry and Ryan's, acting like he hasn't known Phil for a very long time. Dude, he is like supposedly a friend of yours, like outside of gaming. You guys like
Mhm.
chat. Act like that. Ask him questions like that. The Drop Frame guys, I don't think any of them had talked to Phil at any great length personally. Were acting more like his friend than Ryan McCaffrey, who's known him for decades, was, right? That's when I get lost, and I'm like, God, this is just so bad. This is like, why are you asking these stupid questions when you know? And then I sit back and go, well, because it's corporate, it's IGN. Like, he was probably given a list of questions to ask Phil, right? And that's the way it is, but it's not what gamers necessarily want to hear from a mainstay like IGN. They would much rather see you guys use the power, accessibility that you guys do have. The obviously, again, we would all love to be able to sit down and talk with Phil. You guys have an opportunity to do this all the time. You have access to these people. Sit down and have a friendly chat with them. Get them comfortable. Have them have a nice, relaxed conversation with you where, maybe it's more just like me and Steele having a talk, and Phil's just, throwing out some good topics and throwing out some good, information. Stop with this corporate bullshit. This is not what we want to hear as gamers. We get enough of that in our daily lives. Gaming is a fun entertainment hobby. Yes, it's big business, but let the big business people like the Forbes, and Business Insider and all those kind of places have those stupid interviews. When you get him on your show, have a friendly gamer chat.
Yeah.
Talk to Phil about his gaming, like, and ask him the big questions throughout. But in the middle of the conversation, just have that free flow, not this corporate structured garbage that nobody really likes. It just doesn't come off right to me. Like I said, it's a big giant topic. The industry is growing so huge and so large. There's going to be portions of it that just are no longer that grassroots hobby that it once was,
Right.
that small time enjoyment that a small select group of people really got down and dirty with. It is now going to go mainstream, and there's going to be parts of it that I just don't like, and that's just one of them. I just can't stand it, man, and I just wish they would come down to our level and see what's really going on and make that connection again with gamers, the community you're supposed to be one of the biggest representatives of. Find out what we're really talking about, what's really going on the ground level. Stop missing out on some of the points that we're making down here and some of the passion that we still have down here. Stop missing out on that. Come down and see us. And that's all I'm saying.
No, and that's, you're speaking 100% facts. Again, that's when we talk about live, raw, and uncut. I feel like there's just a certain passion and edge that we necessarily bring that I feel should always be there. That's kind of like a life mantra for me, keeping it live or raw and uncut, being able to have conversations, being able to be honest, being able to be forthright. And especially if it's something that you care about, again, being able to look from the outside in. Again, the whole reason I came to this podcasting form or wanting to do this or whatever the case is because I want to be able to represent the bigger mass of our community, not just the little pocket or whatever the case. I want to be able to talk to masses of people because as somebody that's been in the customer service industry, sales industry, I understand that talking to the little guy or just talking to the individuals that do not think like you think, do not care about the same things that you care about is also important so that they understand that it's not just some niche bullshit, that it's for kids. This isn't Nintendo. You can say that about Nintendo, that it's some niche shit that's for kids. I'll give you that. That could be a whole different conversation. But that's a little bit of smoke. But no, but on all seriousness, but you can try to say that about any other company. But you also have to look at on that opposite end of the spectrum of the lives that it's saved, of the health benefits that it's had, of how many people have been able to rehabilitate themselves through this medium and are grateful to everything that this medium has brought us. You know what I mean? And that's what the importance are. But much love to everybody who's tuned in to Living Split Screen on your Saturday morning. The chat, y'all are in here lively, getting it in. We got Last Emperor still in here with us. Asa came in here. What's going on, young dog?
Oh, yeah, Asa.
The man
Game On Daily.
Game
Shout out to
On
Game On
Daily.
Daily. Go check those guys out. Again, I said it last night, criminally underappreciated. Go check out Gaz. Go check out Asa. Go check out Game On Daily. Dude, they put out great work over there. Go check it out.
Man, facts. That's 100% facts. Lady Foxfire's up in here. What's going on? Poster Sword Run. Joe Dunmore. It's Timmy Geezer Prime still in here hanging out with us. Yo, if you're still in the chat, if you're still rocking, shoot us a message. Say, yo, what's popping? Living Split Screen. We'll give you a little shout out. Look, if you can, hit that like button, sub. We're trying to get up. We're rising up in the ranks, man. IGN is the competition. It's the only competition that we see personally. Everybody else is community. We're just trying to get in where we fit in, right? Like I always say, we give you that live, raw, and uncut, authentic, organic energy that you need to get into your weekend that I feel that only me and Paul Soul can bring you. With that being said, man, that wraps up our big topics.
You know what? Wait, hold on. We got a couple good comments in here. So Potion Sword Run. He says, "Hey Punk Soul, I say let the big sites be corporate. It only brings eyes to smaller outlets for better content. Let the corporate sites go by the wayside."
Okay.
Potion Run Sword. You know what? I've said specifically on this show, one of our, I think, first few episodes when we went on a rant about this before, and I said thank you to IGN for making fools of themselves because it does bring attention to the smaller stuff and makes us more important in the YouTube, in this community, to keep it real down here. Right. And I agree with you to a certain point, Potion Run. But what I'm talking about, and what I think Steele is talking about, is like, we just got done talking about this being one big giant community, and we've got the biggest entertainment industry in the world. So I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. If they all just want to go away and fade away, fine, so be it. If they just want to continue to do what they're doing, the only reason why I asked them to change is because they do have a voice, because they do have access
Yes.
to things that the smaller people in the community just don't have access to. So if they are going to be there, and they still could have an important part as far as the mainstream goes, as we get bigger and bigger, to have that platform that they've built through decades could still be a real vehicle to get us even further along.
Yes.
And so I wish that they would use it in that manner.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to say, hey, if IGN is going to be here and for some reason they still are here, which means people still go to their website, then I'm going to ask them to be better, to change up what they're doing, and to try to get closer to the community and represent us better, the passionate ones out here, in a better light, as they already have that platform built. And I think there's plenty of space for all of us. Oh, if IGN's going to exist, I just want them to do it in a different way. And so I'm going to continue to ask them while they're still here to do that. They could obviously continue on the path they are, ignore everybody,
Yeah.
and then just fade into obscurity, right? That could happen. And that's life. I wouldn't necessarily shed a tear at that point. But while they're still here, I'm just going to ask for more. So
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, the biggest thing is why we care about it so much is like, yeah, we can say let them fall to the wayside, but they still are a representation for us as gamers. They are still a big platform. People are going to give them attention and energy and effort and spew off whatever they want to say instead of bringing it somewhere else that could be more important. That's why they hate where we come from, right? That we get the love and we get the passion and they don't, they get the hate. And it's just because they're just a misrepresentation. So I mean, it is what it is. But yo, Neo GameSpark is up in the building. What's going on, my guy? Much love for you checking us out, man. Geezer Prime, Potion Sword Run. It's Simi, Last Emperor, Dragonheart Yobi, Massive Wrecked, Wandering Dutch, Asa Game on daily. Yo, look, man, I appreciate you guys for still being here. Hit that like button, share it out, tell your mama, your friends, to the people at the gym, Neo, that the Living Split Screen is live on your Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time, giving you that live, raw, and uncut energy that only we can bring you. With that said, man, we've dived knee deep into the topics today, man. Talking a little bit about the industry. I mean, also talking about what makes us gamers, man. And the aspect that we're coming from. But now it's time to talk into something that I feel like is important, and everybody's kind of touched on a little bit, right? And that's PlayStation marking their house, right?
yeah.
They house marked something spectacular. Paul, how do you feel about PlayStation locking down Housemarque, and what do you think could be some potential other avenues or other buys or other potential business or contributions that they may need to make within their own house of what they got going on, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's about damn time, Sony. I mean, I'll say that flat out. I mean, again, they've been dating Housemarque for so many years. They've got a bunch of kids running around, and they finally put a ring on it. So, I mean, I think this was inevitable at the end of the day. And if they hadn't done this, I would have continued to say this is stupid not to do this. I think this is a great move. I love Housemarque. I love their games and I love their style. And when I get a PS5, I'll definitely check out Returnal, right? So,
Right.
I think this was just something that had to be done. Again, for all the talk that Sony wants to say, hey, we're not just going to throw money around. That's not the way you build and stuff. And I think there's a lot of different ways you can take those comments. But I think at the end of the day, they realize that they do have to beef up their stable. And it makes sense. Again, the some of the shade that was thrown, or some people tried to say it was shade from Sony saying, hey, we just don't throw our money around, and people saying they were talking about Xbox. Well, you know what? If you listen to the exact quotes from both companies, from Phil and from Herman Holst, they're very similar in their styles. They look for a relationship developed with certain teams over a period of time.
Yeah.
They look to purchase, acquire people that they know fit well within their family,
Right.
within their umbrella. And Xbox is not out here willy-nilly throwing around $7.5 billion. That ZeniMax deal was a deal that was a partnership that had been around for decades. Those people had been working with each other, and we heard already some of the stories for a very long time, and they knew how each other worked, and there was a lot of trust built there, and
Right.
that's what made that purchase happen. And we've seen that, with a lot of their other purchases. So for Sony to finally go and make Housemarque official, first party, it makes sense, and it's a good buy. It's a good deal for them. It is something that I am extremely excited about. As I always say, when something like this goes down, is for the devs themselves. This gives Housemarque that stability. This gives them the resources, the extra resources that they need to push their team even further. And we've seen them as an ascending studio. Housemarque's each and every game has gotten better.
Yeah.
They broke out of their norm, went and did something totally different from what they've done in the past in Returnal. And it showed. They were masterful in it, right? I know the
Mhm.
game had some issues. Not everybody loved it. It's not a game for everybody. But at the end of the day, they showed that they can do that triple
Yeah.
A quality. And again, that was without all the backing.
100%.
So now that they have all the backing, they have all the resources, they're a part of Sony. They don't have to worry about all the garbage that comes along with being an independent developer. Now they can really buckle down and even focus even more. Sony's probably going to give them the backing to grow their team even further, and they're going to become a mainstay. And again, just much love towards Housemarque for putting in all the time, work, and effort through the years to get to this point. I
Mhm.
think Phil said it best in his interview when they asked him about uh, acquisitions and about if it was good for the industry, and he said it was just a natural order of things that development, that somebody goes out, takes the risk to start a business, to start a development team. It's a huge, gigantic risk to take, and your success at the end of the day, not for everybody, but your success at the end of the day may be to be acquired by a much bigger parent company that can take care of all of your needs, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the stages of growth, right? Not everybody's for that. Not everybody wants to do that. A lot of teams want to stay independent, and that's totally cool. But Phil said for a lot of teams, that's the ultimate goal, and it's the ultimate payoff in a lot of ways, not just financially, but it's the ultimate payoffs to that a corporation like Sony, a brand like PlayStation, or a brand like a corporation like
Pfizer.
Xbox, Microsoft, want to bring you into the fold and say, hey, we want you to make games exclusively for us. We want you to be part of our family. That's a huge kind of pride thing too, right? That
Oh yeah.
man, I built myself up enough where somebody took notice,
I mean,
right?
it's just like your job, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having stability.
Right, exactly. Of
Guaranteed work.
course not. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You're not worried
Yeah.
that your next game is going to be a failure and you're going to have to file bankruptcy because you can't afford to make another game, right?
Right.
That happens. This industry, more than a lot of other industries, might be one of the riskiest ventures
Oh
out
yeah.
there, right? Even though this industry is healthy and this industry is gigantic, you got a competition from everybody, right? So, good on Housemarque. I'm happy. Great move by PlayStation. Excited to see where this now goes and what they can do in the future. We saw Sony also pick up Nixus. I think it is a little known company
Mhm.
that, unless you're deep in the industry, again, I didn't even realize it until I read it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Another company that is responsible for the PC porting.
Yeah.
And they've done a ton of the Final Fantasy games for Square, etc. And they've done some of the games for
Tomb
Sony
Raider,
already.
Marvel,
Yeah, exactly.
Avengers.
Tomb Raiders. Yes, exactly. Great ports, right? So Sony, once again, as we've been talking about, as everybody's been talking about, we knew this was coming. They're venturing more and more and more into PC. Eventually, we'll probably see close to day and date games going to PC. It only makes sense from a financial standpoint. It only makes sense from a sales standpoint. You want your games to have as many sales as possible so that you can make more and bigger and better games.
Yeah.
And that means that introducing your first party titles to PC is nothing but a good thing at the end of the day. It does not detract from who you are as a company. It does not devalue the PlayStation as a console in any way, shape, or form. You are just feeding another pool of sharks in customers that are ready to buy and pick up your games, even if they weren't going to pick up your console. So again, nothing but good things. This company is very good at porting over titles, and so it makes perfect sense. Sony does not have the same infrastructure that Xbox has built all these years, because Xbox has already been putting their games over to PC. So Sony's got to play catch up. So going and getting a company like this that's are experts in that field is a fantastic move on their part. Again, solidifying their strategy going forward. They had to do this kind of stuff. I think it's, again, the deals that Sony made this week, we knew were coming eventually. I think Blue Point obviously is the next one. They did the accidental release from Sony Japan, putting it out there that they had acquired a Blue Point, and it was a oops, we didn't really mean that. Withdrew it. But obviously, again, somebody created the assets for that, which means that there's probably a deal in the works. I know Blue Point has on and change their description to say that to solidify that they're a fully independently financed company, and the whatever. But Sony did not come out and officially deny the Blue Point thing at any point here. And Blue Point really hasn't come out and given an official statement on it. They just updated some of their company some of their website to say that they're fully independent, fully financed. But I think we obviously all know Blue Point is another company that PlayStation has been dating for a very long time, has done great work. Obviously, Demon's Souls is a huge success. They are experts at what they do, which is taking older games, making them current. And they are very good at that. And Sony has a gigantic backlog of older games, older titles that they could bring forward to modernize and to introduce to a whole new fan base, right? A whole new group of fans could enjoy them. And I think that Blue Point is the next in that line. I think that makes total sense. So definitely exciting times. I was happy to see, the Sony make some good announcements this week, show that they're obviously competing, that they understand the game that's being played right now. And they're here, obviously, as we've talked about, Steel, they weren't going anywhere, but that they're going to make the moves necessary to, to obviously strengthen their position. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'm all about it.
No, and I 100% agree, man. I was along the same lines. I think the acquisition of Nixus, again, I feel like it's more so a play to speed the process up as far as like them bringing more ports to PC. I'm still of the mind. I think Spider-Man is going to come to PC. I still think Ghost of Tsushima is going to come to PC. I think the next Horizon is coming. The God of War is coming. And again, they don't all have to come day and date, but this is more so along the lines of it coming quicker. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you were saying, it doesn't devalue the console. People have to get out of this mindset like, oh, if you put it here, nobody's going to get a console. People are going to buy a console regardless. I have a PC and I still want a Series X. Like, it's just, that's the way that it always works, right? Until everything is fully informed on one side, yes, PC is going to be the place, but not everybody's also going to want to spend, the minimum $1,000 to run something that's going to be similar to what your console is going to be able to do for half that price. That not everybody's going to be able to do that. And as far as we move further and further into the generation, we're going to see those differences. Again, seeing these innovations that consoles are making is forcing innovation on the PC side, so things are going to constantly move forward. Nixus is definitely excellent for Sony for that, and people have to get out of the mentality of that's like it's a bad thing. This, if anything, just solidifies that statement. And I know people don't want Jim Ryan at the company or whatever, want Herman Hulst back. And I'm sorry, guys, but the businessman is making business moves and keeping the company afloat and making money moves. Yeah. They say
Sean Layden. Herman Hulst is still there.
Sorry.
And he's becoming more of a face too.
Sean Layden. You're right. That's my fault.
I will say real quick, Steele, that Herman Hulst is definitely there. He's trying to become more of a face.
Yeah.
With it, which is a good thing. I think they see where they're going wrong, and Herman Hulst might be
He's
that
trying
next
to course
face.
correct.
Yep.
Herman Hulst is definitely trying to course correct. That's my fault,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen. I definitely was talking about Sean Layden. But yeah, he's not Sean Layden. You know what I mean? He's not running it for you guys, man. You got the businessman running it versus the gamer that was running it. We've seen the same thing with Phil. You don't have to have Sean Layden back to see what the differences are. You have Phil that's on the opposite end showing you what inclusivity looks like, what it's like to have accessibility, what it's like to just not only talk to one specific customer. You're trying to reach the masses. You see the businessman that says, hey, we need to do this thing just because it makes business sense. And they're doing similar things. That's the crazy thing about it. Housemarque, again, like you stated also, it was just it's an obvious play. I was, again, like we always talk about, especially when Microsoft does it, oh, why buy the cow when you can get the milk? Oh, and it's just, again, you got all these other players on the market, Tencent, 2K Games, you got who else? Amazon, you got Google. As much as you may not think that they're in that business anymore, they still have money necessarily to make acquisitions like that. Like, what if Amazon tomorrow bought all the WB games and now Batman's exclusive to Amazon Luna? Then what? How are you guys going to feel about that? So instead of Microsoft giving it to you on a platform where Batman, it can go everywhere and you have access to it everywhere, now you have to get Luna to play Batman. That would suck. You know what I mean? As much as it sucks to have to play Spider-Man on PlayStation. I mean, it is what it is. But again, if you want to play those games, you're going to get the platform that you need to play those games. Right. Again, it's all good. It's all good moves. Nix's is important. I want to bring Nix's back into it because I'm looking at their LinkedIn and they're our company size of 11 to 50 employees, and there's 55 of them, potential of them on LinkedIn from what it said. From what it says, they're privately held and been founded since 1999. I just wanted to do a little brief overview because I know a lot of people haven't talked about it, and people are like, "Yo, Nix's," they're just throwing the name around like we just know who these guys are. But just a little brief overview. Over the past 19 years, we have worked with machines varying from the Sony PlayStation to Sega Dreamcast to current gen and next gen platforms. They didn't put gen there for some reason. In addition, we have a long history with working with PC conversion projects, and we are currently developing new technology for PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. There's no telling how old this description might be, but obviously you see what they do. Again, Microsoft has these things in-house. PlayStation has to go out-house to get these something similar within their wheelhouse, and that's what this Nix's play is. Now, as far as just like potential, again, we saw that whole thing with Bluepoint. I still think that's a high potential. Again, you're gonna still say, why get the cow if you can get the milk? Bluepoint has always made games for Sony, so it's kind of hard seeing them go anywhere else. But again, you might as well acquire them. But again, I say that not knowing how much they may ask to want to be to acquire for it, right? Or even if they really do want to be bought, maybe they want to put something out on Xbox because they want people to have access to their newest game that they're going to put out, and they see what the potential Game Pass or Xbox has as far as like getting games to a mass audience, right? If Game Pass at one point has 50 million subs within their service, it's going to be hard to say, no, I'm going to lock myself off to one side when not even a quarter of your people that invest in your ecosystem are fully invested in that ecosystem, right? You got 140 million PS4 consoles and not even a quarter of those buy these games that come out on a day-to-day basis or on a date-by-date basis. So Bluepoint Games definitely has a lot of potential. Apparently there's a studio called Camouflage who has some inkling tied with Sony. They're currently working on Marvel's Iron Man VR. Again, we know that PlayStation VR is coming back. They're coming out with a VR 2 that's supposed to be a lot better, and whatever the case. I still think we're a ways off for me enjoying VR the way that I want to enjoy it. But that's neither here or there. PlayStation obviously has something that's already in existence that they just have to reiterate on. And again, that could be another scene that they come in and hit Microsoft over the head with, right? If they really hit VR out of the park and they get that technology really moving, then who's to say that they don't solidify themselves in that space, and then there becomes teamwork within in there somehow. So Housemarque is already pretty solidified. Kojima, we got these Kojima rumors. Sorry, man, but I'm gonna have to believe the dude Jeff Grubb, man.
Shout out to Jeff Grubb.
Shout out to Jeff Grubb. He's an industry insider, as I call him. He's a journalist.
Subscribes to Living Splitscreen too, by the way.
He is subscribed to Living Splitscreen. Shout out to Jeff Grubb. If y'all didn't know that, well, Jeff Grubb is a subscriber of Living Splitscreen. You see how the love we get here. But that's a little shameless plug. But
hey, wait, real quick, still before you go to the Kojima thing, real quick, couple of things. First of all, Porsche Power stopped in. Ains, good to see you, brother. Thank you for dropping by. Trevor showed up, and Trevor says he is hoping to be acquired by a rich woman. Ooh, so that's what he's going
Trevor
for.
Trevor wants to be acquired by a rich woman. Man, I can't determine.
I love that.
I could be a wingman, maybe get you in there, but I'm out. I'm out.
So that's good stuff. And Dragonheart Yobi just brought up, man. Did you hear about this hack? LinkedIn got hacked.
No, I didn't.
500 million people information is available for purchase.
Oh,
they got hacked. Oh man, God, man.
Yeah, that's
a scary thought.
It's never good, man. LinkedIn is starting to match Sony, man. Just constantly getting hacked and letting their information get to whoever wants to be the highest bidder.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, go ahead.
That was me.
What am I doing with you, brother? What am I doing with you?
Just saying, man. The services, man. Let's have a service war instead of a console war. But no. Dragonheart Yogi said he sent the article to you. But no, just Jeff Grubb. He's a journalist. Awesome Games Beat sides. Also teamed up with Bombcast, I believe now.
Giant Bomb.
Giant Bomb. There you go. He's probably gonna be their saving grace. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I'm along his same lines. He pretty much is saying that whole thing is debunked. Kojima isn't doing anything with PlayStation. He has no ties to him. Matter of fact, they're in supposedly, rumor has it that Kojima is like in the last bit of talks with locking something in with Microsoft. And Xbox would do using their cloud service. And we kind of talked about this before last week, and I kind of talked about it last night on GRG, where because people were like, oh, it's probably for mobile gaming and it's for cloud only. And I think it's deeper than that. Again, you have games like Microsoft Flight Simulator or Sea of Thieves that use assets from the cloud to load in their assets. Or whatever the case might be, to kind of take some of the stress off of the hardware. And that can be a huge benefit if somebody learns how to really use that in the cloud. Again, I think they say my Flight Simulator uses 2 petabytes of data sent to your console, which is 2,000 terabytes. Again, you can only imagine how much information that is getting streamed in constantly to your box that doesn't have to be built in hardware wise, which takes it could take a lot of strain off, and again could use those base Xboxes again, including that inclusivity that even those base Xboxes can one day be kind of like a stream farm for your home. Right, and you're using the Series X server blades to kind of stream off of, or whatever the case might be, to get that next gen experience on your older hardware until you can upgrade, or whatever the case might be. Because let's face it, no matter what, cloud services is always going to be a thing. I feel like that's something else that goes understated. Like, don't downplay what cloud gaming is going to be. Like, it's going to become a solid option. Not saying it's the definitive option. I have a hard time playing games on the phone myself. Right, even laying in bed, just playing on the phone just feels weird. I'd rather be holding a controller, using my Elite 2, playing on a TV, playing on a monitor, sitting in a chair where I'm comfortable and can really get my game time in, and get my hardcore pants off, dance off kind of thing going on. Right. So,
whoa, pause.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Don't need to know what you play in or what you don't play in.
Look, man, as long as you're not playing with yourself, that's all that matters.
You can do both,
but yeah, and then there's some things in the background with Supermassive might be in play for Sony. There's just a lot of good things that Sony could do. And I don't want to necessarily, and I definitely don't want to say that it's a reactionary to what Xbox is doing, but it could be. Who knows? We don't necessarily know. I'm not saying that it is. They're the market leader. They don't have to do anything. There might be a couple years until they feel like they're in a corner. But like we always say here, if they don't start doing something now to stay within the mind share, because as we go on, people have always questioned the pricing of games. It's only getting worse. You know what I mean? With Game Pass doing everything that it's doing, it's making gamers look at gaming differently. Gaming as artists should be treated as such. If you can have more access to that art, what is the problem with that? And it's not going to degrade gaming because you're always going to have top of the line games, because at the end of the day, the dev is going to make games that is going to get attention from the people, right? So that's the other thing.
No, I mean, I think it's important that everybody, again, when we're looking at all this, I don't think it's necessarily just reactionary to Xbox. I think the game industry as a whole, we already know, is going through a consolidation phase, right? We already know that's what's happening. The reality of the situation is you got to get, the teams that you want while they're still available. Yeah. Otherwise, there's a chance they might be bought up. Like you said, there's more players than just Xbox here. At the end of the day, and there's a whole lot more going on behind the scenes than we even know about. Tencent is buying, they're not just straight up acquiring companies all the time. They're buying into companies at a record pace, right? Tencent is buying little pieces of companies or bigger pieces of companies, and those all can be turned later into an actual buyout situation, acquisition, whether so again, I think Sony realizes that as much as anybody else. They see the landscape and what's happening right now, and they understand that they gotta lock down the people they want to have on their teams now before somebody else does. And not necessarily like just Xbox is going to walk in and buy a Blue Point out of the blue one day. That doesn't necessarily happen, but a Tencent certainly could. An unknown certainly could, right? And you just never know when that's going to happen. So lock up your people now while you have the opportunity. And I know people are afraid of the consolidation, and whether or not it's bad for the industry. Look, this industry is so huge. This industry is so unbelievable right now that consolidation, no matter at what scale we're talking about, is only going to be a drop in the bucket. We just saw Casey Hudson, go open up his own new studio. There's going to be people that fill in those companies that get bought up or acquired. We're going to have people filling in all those roles all the time. At the end of the day, there's so much talent out there and so many people looking to get into this industry right now that we're going to have that backfill come in, and it's just going to open up for indie developers even more so to grow. As some of the bigger companies just acquire, those medium-sized style companies. I'm not talking about the ZeniMax purchases, but I'm talking about the medium-sized developers, the AA developers that get bought up, opens up that space for an indie developer to move into that role. This industry has so much movement as far as talent goes. There's always going to be a fresh supply of talent rolling in. So I don't think anybody has to worry about the consolidation. Do I want to see just one major corporation own everything? Of course not. That's bad for customers. That's bad for business. There's no competition when you have that. But right now, with the way the industry stands, you got three major players in this space. You got some people feeling around on the outside, whether or not they want to jump in. We got plenty of competition going on, as we've seen now that Xbox has jumped back into this full force. It's going to stay that way. Nobody's disappearing. Nobody's going away at the end of the day. So I think we're in a good, really, really, really good spot. Better than we ever have been. And I think this industry is so healthy that a little bit of consolidation isn't going to hurt at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, and that kind of ties, I'm going to go ahead and tie that in with the whole, tie it right back down into some smoke and put some weights on it, throw it in the river and see if it drowns.
All right.
With the whole Ghost of Tsushima business, right? They're making all these positive plays, but then also turning around and not having great communication with their people. Yeah. Again, something that we keep speaking to. Sony has never really came across as having a problem with this because they're so good at selling, right? They're the most outlandish salesmen. They're the uncanny salesmen, right? They'll sell you something that you probably didn't know that you needed, right? Well, at least they'll try to. And with this whole Ghost of Tsushima debacle, just to tie it in as we move close to the end of the show, whatever, because I know we got some keen thoughts on that. how does that kind of make you feel on that kind of spectrum, where you're kind of finding out where, on the Xbox side of things or on the competitor side of things, depending on how you want to look at it, where you're getting your smart delivery, and then as some people call it, dumb delivery on the other side, where not only where you got to pay $20 for a game that you may already have to get the director's cut of that game, to get the expansion or whatever. Not to say that that's a problem, but then to also charge you that $10 next gen tax. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Again,
no, I mean, again, it's biz. I'm not going to justify it because I think it's horrible. Okay, the $10, the $70 games, horrible. Again, I'm never going to cheer on a price increase in any way, shape, or form ever. What I am going to say is, if you take a step back and you look from a business standpoint, this is why Jim Ryan, and you and I talked about this behind the scenes a little bit, and I talked about this on Xbox Ultimate last night as well. Jim Ryan is in the position he's in at Sony, and Sean Layden is no longer with the company for a reason.
Yep.
They are in a business mode from a numbers standpoint right now. Sean Layden was your customer centric, your customer friendly guy, along with Yoshida and a lot of the other crew. Yoshida has been cast off to his role now, and Sean Layden is completely gone, and they've got Jim Ryan and Herman Hulst in place. Okay. Jim Ryan, especially, he's a numbers guy. He's an accountant guy. He's the guy who drove the numbers in Europe. His whole game is the bottom line. He's not a gamer. He doesn't care. Okay. The period. He cares about the business, but he doesn't necessarily care about the gamer at the end of the day. Okay. That's not his job. And that's okay. Okay. Sometimes you got to be cutthroat. This industry is not going, this industry is not going to coddle you. Okay. We saw that Xbox is almost was out of the game. We saw Sega go away completely. We've seen how many different companies disappear, right? This industry is not going to coddle you and say, it's okay, we're going to take care of you. That's not how this is going to work. Sony, at the end of the day, as a corporation, not just talking about PlayStation, but as the corporation goes, outside of the insurance business side of things that they have over in the East, which is a pillar of their profits, PlayStation is the main thing they've got going right now. Okay, period. They have to have PlayStation profitable. It has to be profitable for Sony as a corporation. They put Jim Ryan in place to trim the fat, to make them lean and mean. Does that mean? That means that Jim Ryan's going to make decisions like adding a $10 next gen tax to the games to squeeze every single penny they possibly can out of their customers. They're going to do that because it has to be profitable. They don't have the consoles out in the wild that they thought they were going to for this generation for PlayStation 5 because of the chip shortage. They could not have seen that coming. So right now, there's, between the chip shortage and between the scalpers, you're talking about a lot less PlayStation 5s than they probably projected themselves. So what are you going to do? You got to make up that somewhere. So every game that you possibly potentially have the chance to sell, you've got to make sure that you are capitalizing on that when it does get sold. So guess what? They came up with the great idea of putting out a director's cut for Ghost of Tsushima, a lot of people's 2020 game of the year. I know it didn't win that, but a lot of people feel it should have. A lot of people love this game. So they're going to put out a director's cut. They're going to throw in an expansion. Okay. That's cool. That's cool with me. $20 for the expansion, I am totally fine with. It's a lot less than I thought they were going to charge. I actually thought they were going to do this expansion like they did with Miles Morales, make it a separate purchase and charge $50 for it, right? That's what I thought was coming down the line. But they didn't do that. So they are going to go ahead and give you this expansion along with the director's cut, roll it all into one package, and then charge you an extra $10 for the upgrade on top of it. My biggest problem with this deal, and you and I agree on this, I think behind the scenes, was that they are locking that upgrade behind the director's cut. So technically you got to buy the entire package. There's no way for a PS4 owner to just buy the Iki Island expansion, right? They're going to force you to make the big buy.
Yeah, you
right?
have to get the director's cut. Yeah.
You have to get the director's cut. Or you have to pay the $30 or whatever the heck it is to upgrade to the PS5 director's cut version. So again, to me, from a business standpoint, taking a step back, it makes sense. From a ground level, from a consumer standpoint, from a customer, it makes for terrible messaging. It makes for confusing messaging. It gives your competition one more leg up when it comes to the comparison factor. Even though Ghost of Tsushima is not on Xbox, people are saying, why am I not getting the upgrade for free like they do with smart delivery over on Xbox? It's another cut. And this is my other point is that Sony can do this for a while. Their base is a lot like Nintendo's. They will put up with this. We even see people in this community cheering it on, saying that it's okay, defending it. Okay, just like Nintendo people defend all the decisions that we all sit back and go, why is nobody talking about this? Nintendo, what are you doing? How are you continuously charging people this ridiculous amounts for old games? What are you doing? And their community cheers it on or defends it and says it's okay, we're willing to pay for it. Sony's fan base is no different, their core fan base. But you get outside of the core fan base and you get these comparisons with what Xbox has done because of their smart delivery, because of their backwards compatibility, because of all this work and money and resources they put into xCloud, that allows them to give us as a consumer advantages, bonuses, however you want to say it. Because they did all that, and Sony continues on the old path that they have with the console market, with having to pump out these games the way they do, with no smart delivery, with charging for upgrades. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. Eventually, the mainstream, the bigger, wider audience, the casual fan base is going to be able to start seeing, as they look, if they're looking to buy into one ecosystem or the other, they're going to be able to see those advantages build up on the Xbox side. And they're going to say, why am I going to go? Yes, I love Sony exclusives, but why am I going to go over here when I mainly play third-party titles? And I'm going to go to Sony, not get all the games on Game Pass, not get the smart delivery, not get the upgrades for free, all these things. Why am I going to go over to Sony, spend $70 for a couple of exclusives every year, and then also spend $70 for my third-party games and not have what I get over on Xbox, in Game Pass and xCloud and all that good stuff? Eventually, it's going to get out to the mainstream, wider audience. Eventually, they're going to start seeing it. So Sony can play this game for a while, can get their money right now while they can, while the getting's good. Eventually, they're going to have to make the decision of where they're going. It's two different business models. Eventually, they're going to have to decide if they're going to jump into this digital age and if they're going to try to compete with Game Pass and try to get some kind of service, whether that's beefing up PS Now or whatever the case may be. If they're going to do that, then that's going to take away some of your ability to continue down this road with getting these little extra, nickel and dimes from people, because you're going to have to compete directly or indirectly. It's not going to be a one-for-one ever, I don't believe, but they're going to have to shift more to Microsoft's side and start looking at that. But it's going to take them a while. They're just not prepared for it. They haven't been doing all the planning for that Xbox and Microsoft did all those years ago, that we're starting to see the fruits right now. Sony's got to catch up to that. It's not going to take them a while. They're not going to be able to do that. So, for me, again, I'll never defend it. I'll never say it's okay. I'll never say, yeah, that's okay, they should charge $10. But at the end of the day, from a business standpoint, from what Jim Ryan's doing, yeah, I can see why they're doing it. Again, but it's BS and people need to speak out about it. But right now, the community's taking it and they're running with it. Steele, what else you got, man? What do you think?
I mean, you pretty much knocked it out of the park. For me, but I'll kind of reiterate a little bit. Whereas the $10 is, for me, whether it's there, whether it's not, is neither here or there for me. Again, whether you want to blame inflation, whether you want to blame whatever, right? I just feel like there has to be a better conversation than that. There has to be a better excuse than that. Saying, oh, well, things have been one price for so long and now they're not that price anymore. So why is it okay for things never to go up, or whatever the case might be? Not realizing every time that you say that, you're not taking into consideration their amount of money that they're making from free to play games. What is getting the traction from the consumer? These companies are not specifically talking to us. They're not trying to market to us. And what makes it more of a concern and more of a problem is when Sony has people like, or companies like Sony, because Microsoft does it too. They did it with the whole trying to raise Xbox Live Gold to the point where it was forcing you to get Game Pass Ultimate instead of breaking it down in a different way that made more sense. Instead of taking the time, energy, and effort to reword it and so that people would make it have a better understanding, you just raise the price and think people are just going to take it. No. It would have been better if they would have just came out, look, Ghost of Tsushima, if you want it on PS5, it's $30. Don't say nothing else. Don't say, we're going to add frame boost and matching Japanese vocals and, some audio. And guess what? The disc is going to spin backwards now, and we're going to give you an invisible glass
Is
case.
that true?
No,
is that true? I didn't hear about that one.
No, it's not true, man. It's like they're telling you all this other dumb shit that you don't care about that they're adding to the game. Like them telling you, it's going to be 4K 60 now, or it's still aiming for 60, not even locked. Like, you're not even guaranteeing me anything. Just say, the expansion is $30 and then leave it at that. And then put in a patch notes or whatever page and say, hey, this is what's included with your $30. You're getting the expansion. The expansion itself, you can justify $30, especially if it's going to be another Spider-Man-like expansion, Rogue, or like an Uncharted series, a Lost Legacy series, or whatever the case might be. If you're adding on full expansions, charge that money for it. I've been used to that since I've been gaming, especially on the PC side. If you wanted an expansion, it was $30. Like, it was what it was. And you weren't going to fight it. It's either you want the content or you don't. And whatever was inside of it, it became a different conversation. It's when you blatantly say, getting the director's cut is $20 if you got they got the PlayStation 4 version, which there only is a PlayStation 4 version, and so the PlayStation 5 version comes out, which is going to be $70, as they stated. For it to be $20 for people that have already bought the game, and then you to add on, then say, and then to move it over to you can get a full PS5, like it needs a checkmark verified version for another $10. You're separating it out and you're making it like hard to talk about. You're making it an issue. And it didn't need to be an issue, where if you would have just came out and said, it's $30. It is what it is. Boom. People are going to pay what they feel is worth it. And from what I've heard so far throughout the week, everybody's saying, it's all right. We'll do it this one time. It's Ghost of Tsushima. And then what are you going to do when they do Last of Us? Because guess what? Last of Us with factions, their new factions would get me to buy a console, or would get me to want to play. To be 100% honest, it would. You know what I mean? So I would be part of that sucker few that would be buying the game for the third or fourth time, even though I haven't technically, be my first time. But for some, or for the people that have played the game, y'all will be the ones that have bought the game for the third or fourth time on a remix, on a remaster, on a re-edition that has now multiplayer that was promised to us. You know what I mean? When the game was releasing.
So forget about that. That never happened.
Now it never happened. It's like, come on, man. It makes you look at things differently. It puts on a different lens and makes you have to auto focus and refocus on things that you didn't need to. Right? These things that are so outside of focus, because let's face it, us as gamers, stuff on the peripheral, like on your perception in peripherals, you're not really looking at this stuff out here. You're looking at everything that's right here. That's all that matters. And as long as it fits whatever you're looking for, that's it. It's just, let's just be honest about this whole next gen tax that they're doing that we don't have to have, right? I feel like that's the more of the essential part. But nonetheless, congrats to Sony for the pickups, man. Hopefully they continue to push gaming forward, continue to give Microsoft some competition, and maybe reinvigorate PS Plus or PS Now to give people more accessibility options and more ways to play, right? Because I feel like that's what we're moving into. That's the era we're moving into. A way to play era, an accessibility era, as I keep speaking to, because that's what's happening, man. You know what I mean? Bringing gamers together. Oh man, you got anything else you want to touch on with that?
Oh, brother, I think I'm doing good. We killed it again, man.
We stay killing it.
Show, man.
We stay killing it.
Of course, that's what I'm saying.
Every time, man. For those in the chat, man, again, I much love and appreciate everybody who is here within the chat. Y'all have been chopping it up, talking, getting to it. We got Niners for life. He's new. I've seen that's dope. Much love the Niners for life. Rain the Third Eye's been in here, just getting it in. Last Emperor, Geezer Prime, Potion Sword Run. Man, you got these guys just chopping it up in
Lady
chat.
Foxfire,
Masuko, Lady Foxfire's
been here.
Trevor. Yep. Who else you seeing, Paul? Who else you seeing, Paul? Talk to him.
Timmy. It's Timmy still here. Yep. Wandering Dutch has been here. Shout out to Dutch, man. Mixed up midweek mix up over there, man. Shout out to those guys. Thanks. Wandering Dutch comes here each and every week as well. Fastback was in here. Brother Chris from NLG was in here. Man, we've had some great people. Dragonheart Yobi dropping the knowledge, the LinkedIn hack over there, and of course Porsche Power, Assassin Lupa. I mean, again, you guys are all so amazing to stop in here each and every week with us. And again, today we had some great discussions. Like, Steele and I, Massa Rat is in here. But no, it's great to see people in here. And really this morning with the topic that we brought up, when we go off from the standard news, it's always good to see you guys enjoy it and have some conversation and talks about that. Because that's what Steele and I wanted to do when we started this whole thing.
Facts.
Was to not just, yes, we're going to talk about the news. Yes, I could talk about the news till my ears bleed, right? I could do that. But it's always good to bring different perspectives and talk about different sides of the entire industry and the community, and see what people think about it. And I'm glad that you guys were engaged with us today. We love you all. Really appreciate it. It's amazing stuff in here. Look at that. 108 Dragons. Lemon's in the house.
Facts.
What's up, Lemon?
Mr.
Dragon's Den tonight. Dragon's Den tonight. You guys check that out as well. Yeah, awesome show. Awesome energy. 108 is just like us, man. That's what we're all about. So, but no, we appreciate every single one of you coming out each and every week. We've really built a nice little community here. We want to continue to grow it. So please spread the word. If you're loving what you hear, like, subscribe, share it, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your grandma. I don't care. Get up on a rooftop and shout it that Living Splitscreen is the place to be Saturday mornings, because Steele and I are going to be here each and every week, because I know both he and I look forward to this time. Yes. So, man, awesome stuff, Steele. Again, man, we just killing it.
Hey man, that's much love to everybody out there. Look, just to kind of give some updates or whatever the case. Again, for those who are not informed, we do have an audio platform that we also upload to on Anchor that distributes it out to Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts or your audio platforms or whatever the case might be. We're also there. Type in LSS, Living Splitscreen. All of our episodes are now uploading same day. So probably an hour after this episode goes up is about the same time. The audio side of it will be up for everybody to listen to. Be tuned in. Leave us a like. Tell us, leave us a review. Tell us what we could be doing different. If you hate us, let me know. If you love us, let me know. I don't care. It's all game talk. It's all about, community and coming together and just representing a wide base of people that enjoy our passion, our hobby, right?
Please go to those audio.
Much love for subbing.
Oh, look at that. Dragon Wolf's in the house too.
Hey, Dragon Wolf, much love. Look at that. We're getting some people in the house, man. Look, we're just trying to show a representation of the community that keeps it live, raw, organic, authentic, and it's just going to keep it uncut with the community, man, where we don't let anyone decide who we are as gamers. We know who we are. We know what square we stand in, and we are the Living Splitscreen, where we keep everything non-console centric. And we are here live, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time, man. Come check us out, man. We're here.
Like Steele said, if you're not listening to us on those audio platforms right now, just go to, please, if you love what we do, go to those audio platforms and give us a rating too. It helps immensely over there. That is a big part of those audio. On Spotify and Apple is getting those ratings, getting those reviews too. So go help us out over there. But again, we love you all. We love you all. It's amazing.
Yeah, man. That's a fact. I mean, it's like I come here week by week, and you know, I didn't necessarily realize how much I would enjoy podcasting and whatnot until I get on with different people and we just start to conversate, right? Because I'm all about having, you know, talking or whatever the case might be. I mean, you see it with me and Paul. We do it for over 2 hours like it's nothing. Like this is just weak sauce. Like we can do this for 5 hours a day. Like it's a news broadcasting station. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine if we actually had a fully like produced show, Steele, like where we just had like topic after topic laid out? This is just us off the cuff as the way that we wanted it. But like a produced show, my God, we've already talked about it, Steele. We literally could do a radio show.
It would be insane, man. And hopefully we can get there one day. Hopefully,
I know. I want to.
Hopefully the fans can support that dream, man. But we can do that and do our own thing in the background and really get it in, man. Because we feel like we're bringing something to your weekend that nobody else is. And that's coming to you live, raw and uncut, man. But with that being said, look, Paul's got some exciting things happening after the show. He's going to be on with the big cast, giving it to you with that game, with Ains,
seasoned gaming, giving you that Porsche power, giving you that Pong soul, the soul that is uncanny within this gaming universe, man. And yeah, man. Thanks, Calorex. Appreciate you just subbing.
Yeah, I peeped it out, man. Much love. Hopefully everybody saw that on the screen. I actually need to change some of that so that it's more, the images can pertain more to us. I don't know yet. I might change the GIF to something special. Maybe let's see Masuko in the chat saying maybe next week you start the show with 50s TV broadcaster voice. Ladies and gentlemen, nah, man, I can't do that. That's outside of my wheelhouse. I have to come in. You know, you telling me that you don't like when I come in and be like, yo, what's going on? But nah, within all serious, man, if there's any suggestions, anything that you feel like they can make it better, any questions that you guys might have, well, you know, send it to in the DM, write it in the comments after the show. You know, write it down now. We'll try to see about tabling that stuff so we could talk about it at a later time. You know what I mean? But much love to everybody that's in here. Look, now we're moving into the segment because we got to get Pong Soul out of here. We gotta
make me
move
feel
him out.
old. I don't want to do it, Steele.
The This Day in Gaming segment where Pong wants to feel old, but I want to bring attention to older titles or games from the past because we have to remember where we started or where we came from to what we are today. Gaming is art and should be treated as such, and do not understand why people can't understand that concept, right? You like to hang up art on your wall, you like that new Ferrari, you like whatever specific type of art that you like. Why can't gaming fit in that same aspect, bring up some memories, bring up some excellent I don't want to say memories again, but some excellent memoirs, I guess, that you could dive into, right?
I don't want to say memories, so you come up with memoir. Okay, I'll let you roll it. Let's go.
You got some memoirs you just got to unlock within your brain, man. I don't know. Sorry. It's like a cup of coffee. Got to get it now.
Love it.
If I sound crazy, just let me know.
Steele's getting creative, everybody. Let's go.
I am. Look, man, This Day of Gaming brought to you by GameFAQs, GameSpot.com. Just because I don't necessarily have all the time in the world to put this stuff together, but GameFAQs does, and they're paying somebody to get it done, and I appreciate that. Much love to what they're doing to put this stuff together. So with that being said, in 1992, this is the exciting month, Pong. It's my birthday month, man. The year,
I know it is, brother.
The month of the Leo and the Cancer. Shout out to both y'all. But really, shout out to the fellow Leos, man. I love y'all. But with that being said, 1992, the year I was born, Pong. Let's see if I realize any of these games. I probably don't.
Jesus.
Super Nintendo released Parodius Da in Japan. Not familiar with that title. Again, Super Nintendo released Prince of Persia in Japan.
Of course.
I've heard about that game. That's an excellent game. I've actually played that through emulation. Super Nintendo then released Super Bowling in Japan. Not familiar with that title either. And then on the Game Boy, you got well, hold on. Let me make sure I said this right. Yurusei Yatusara Miss Tomobiki o Sagasi in Japan.
I love when you do that shit. I love it. All right, let's go.
Hey, I'm not familiar with that title, but excellent. 1996 on the Saturn, another classic console. They released Galaxy Fight. Not familiar with that title,
shout out to Saturn.
But like I've heard that before. Sega Saturn was an amazing console. 1997, the year my younger brother was born. PlayStation released Mad Stalker Full Metal Force in Japan. Not familiar with that title.
Really not helping with this whole old thing.
Hey, it's all right.
Every time you mention that you were born in 92.
Hey man, I gotta be honest.
And your younger brother was born in 97. Are you kidding me right now?
I gotta be honest.
Great. Oh God. Keep going. Just keep going.
It'll be all right. It's memories. You'll think back on all the trouble all the trouble you were getting back in the 90s and whatnot.
Let's
being
go.
a little troublemaker back then. 2001, PlayStation 2 released MX 2002 featuring Ricky Carmichael. Ooh, not familiar with that.
Ricky Carmichael.
So we move into 2002, another defining moment of my gaming history. PC released Sudden Strike Gold, and I wasn't talking about Sudden Strike, but I'm not familiar with Sudden Strike. But
good save, boy.
On PC, they did release Warcraft 3: Reign of Chaos. It was an expansion to Warcraft 3, made the game amazing. Warcraft 3
Sudden Strike
was
is a great game, by the way, too.
Was it?
I wasn't downplaying Sudden Strike.
Oh, okay,
awesome.
Excellent.
Strategy game.
Okay,
on Xbox One. Yep. We're good.
While people were playing Sudden Strike, I was playing Warcraft 3, getting that RTS in, that good old RTS goodness, getting it in with the orcs and whatnot. 2003 GameCube, another awesome system with their little mini discs and whatnot. I always thought that was badass. I always felt like in the era of CDs and discs, I was like, how pointless was it to make this mini ass disc?
It's got to be different. You just got to be different.
To be different. That's what it's all about. And guess what? It worked. It was perfect. Those discs never messed up. That was the crazy thing. Those discs always worked. But GameCube released in 2003 Auto Modelista in Japan. Not familiar with that. But what I am familiar with, which has made some excellent movies, never played any of the games. On Xbox 360, on PlayStation 2, they released RoboCop in Japan.
Nice. Good old RoboCop.
RoboCop's a good
Bring
movie.
that back.
Awesome. All right, 2007, PlayStation 3 released Ninja Gaiden Sigma, another series I need to play through. Shout out to Dragonheart Yobi for getting that to us in the DMs. Much love to you, man. I'm definitely going to play through that collection. I might even stream that, man. It's my first time going through the Ninja Gaiden.
Santa Yobi was dropping gifts. Hell yeah.
Much love, man. Xbox 360 in 2007 also released Vampire Rain. Shout out to all the rains out there. Whether it's Vampire Rain, Steel Rain, Quiet Rain, or whatever you want to call it, we're here for you.
Remember Vampire Rain?
Vampire Rain? No.
Remember Vampire?
Sounds familiar.
It was look. Compare a lot of the 360 era to like 90s action flicks.
Yeah.
Right. You got a lot. You got stuff that like people would say wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
If you played it, you actually got a lot of fun out of it. Right. So like watching a 90s, like a Steven Seagal film, right? There's a lot of people who say they're absolutely horrible, right? But if you were into 90s action flicks, you were like, Steven Seagal was the shit back then.
Yeah, he was a
badass. I loved his movies. Right. It was fun. I loved his movies. I knew I was going to get every time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 360 games like that in that era, and Vampire Rain was one of those, man. I'm telling you, that was a fun game. So I don't think it's backwards compatible, though. I wish it was.
Probably not. Then we move into 2008 on PlayStation 3. They got the Initial D Extreme stage in Japan. I never was
Initial D.
Initial D was
Arcade
cool.
was amazing.
Initial D was cool. Initial D was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. 2009 Xbox 360 released World Clock. Not familiar with that title, but all right, World Clock. There you go. 2012 on the 3DS, you got Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy. For those who like that, whatever that might be, on the 3DS. Out to y'all.
That was that like musical Final Fantasy, I think. Right? Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
2013, you got on the PC Mortal Kombat Complete Edition. Man, It's always good when they come out with a good Mortal Kombat game. Mortal Kombat hasn't missed quite yet. Well, there's a few games in there that have been kind of like, I don't know. But
shout out to NetherRealms, already getting on their next project. They just finally stated that they're stopping support for 11, so they're on to the next project. Can't wait to see what Ed Boon and his crew's got going on.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's gonna be interesting.
They always put out excellent titles. So definitely one of those IPs that you're always looking for. One of those studios that you're always looking for that next game because you know it's going to be classic. You know it's going to be quality too.
Correct.
2014 on the PlayStation 4, Akiba's Trip, Undead and Undressed. So I guess you guys will know what that's about.
I do. Very good.
Get a little
very good game.
Get a little etchy in there, huh?
I got on the Vita. And I used to play it on through the PS TV.
Okay.
It's a very good series. So very cool.
Okay, awesome. 2017 on the iOS, iPhone, they released Many Days survival game. All right. Those shout out to all the mobile gamers out there. Then, sorry if you guys can't see any further, but with that being said, we're going to move into, what is it? PlayStation 4 2018 released Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered. Hey, I see what they did with that.
Of Red Faction.
Oh, yeah, Red Faction was all right. I never got dived too deep into it, but I know Red Faction. This is a decent game.
Ability. Oh my god, it's crazy what you can do with that.
I heard it was a decent game. Facts.
First came out, it was like beyond anything out. Like it was like one of those like, oh my god, I can't believe that you can do this. Like blow through, blow up everything, blow through wall. It was crazy. So and the remastered version is actually really good. So
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Then on 2019, PlayStation 4, Illusions of El Felicia, released in Japan. For those who are interested in that, not familiar, but that's all right. And then on Nintendo Switch, they released Luca, Born of a Dream. Shout out to all those.
Is it the Ash and Luca, Born of a Dream?
It's just Luca. Oh, no Dark Souls references in this one. Not or Smash Bros. For those who play with Luca and Smash Bros. And then in 2020, Xbox One released Alpha Dia Genesis. Not familiar with that. Nintendo Switch released Infinity.
Yes. Alpha Dia Genesis. I just picked that up. That's the one I was telling you about, Steel, behind the scenes that I want to get into, which is like sci-fi. You got to build out your ship at the same time. Like there's alien invasions going on your ship. But you got to like, you love it or hate it. It's one of those games, AA game, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it definitely sounds crazy. And then to wrap it all up, man, you had in 2020, PlayStation 4 released Marvel's Iron Man VR.
Oh, buddy.
For those of y'all who are excited about VR.
Surprised you just don't play that nonstop.
No, I'm cool. I don't care about VR enough.
Not even to become Iron Man?
No, Anthem has done it the best so far. I'd rather play Anthem if I wanted to feel like I was Iron Man. They did it the best, and I'm sad that they killed off Anthem. But it is what it is. They can always have potential to put out something greater, and I hope they do. But with that being said, man, that was your This Day in Gaming segment where we put shine light.
We feel old
on the older games from our past, where you got to remember where you came from, man. Bring those memories back into play. Maybe bring some memories that you might have forgot, right? A lot of people have childhood memories with a lot of these games, and to be able to bring those back up and again, just remember some of the classic moments that you might have had from back in the day, I feel like is an amazing thing. Gaming is art and should be treated as such, point blank, period. With that being said, Pong, another excellent episode of the Living Split Screen Morning Show. I don't know how we do it, but we continuously do it. Live, raw, and uncut, coming at you organic, authentic, and give you the energy that you need to get into your weekend. Again, we didn't have a chance to talk all week. We haven't even gamed all week together, and still put out some classic content. Every time that anybody asks what makes your podcast unique, is that me and Pong, me and Pong cannot talk and not have no communication, and somehow, some way, in some form, we're so off. We come off so naturally with each other and like vibe off each other so well that you were still able to bring this kind of a presentation to you. I'm always in the background working on different things, whether it be logos, different and other aspects of it, whatever. And I'm always looking forward to what changes that we could possibly make. What do you guys think that'll make us better? What do you want to see? Do you want to ask more questions? Do you want the chat to be more involved? We take all these things into consideration because we want to offer an excellent show for the community and for us personally, right? We're trying to take it to that next level, and again, we're shooting for the top because we need better representation for us as gamers. But Paul, man, if you want, tell the people what's going on, where you're going to be at, where they can find you, man.
Episode 15 in the books, Living Split Screen. Thank you all. God, again, we already went through this, but Chad, love you all. Appreciate every single one of you for coming out and showing us the support. Seriously, I can't say it enough. Steel can't say it enough. We're not here without you. So again, nothing but love and respect for every single one of you. Pong Soul everywhere, Xbox, on Twitter. You can find me right after this. I'll be doing a Bitcast over on Season Gaming with Porsche Power, aka Ains, and of course Dan. So please join me over there if you want to hear some more excellent talk. Season Gaming is, man, another highly respected place to be for gamers of mine. I know Steel appreciates them. Steel was just on with them as well. So again, just an awesome of people over there, and they do great work. Their articles and everything. Go check out Season Gaming. It's just a fantastic place to get some information, get some opinions. Great people. So I'll be there. And then later tonight, I'll be on the Shop Podcast as always with PTK Blam, Centurion, Fuzzy Belvedere, and Stagorilla. And tonight we have Everborn Saga on, of course. You hear Steel talk about Everborn, you hear myself talk about Everborn, a great member of the community, one of the most creative people I've had the pleasure of doing a podcast with. The dude is incredible with what he's got going on. So Everborn Saga tonight on the Shop Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Tomorrow on Sunday, I am going to be with the boys across the ocean on Green Pass Gaming. If you guys have not checked out Green Pass Gaming with Flap, Puxley, Scott, SX2, Luke Steele, come over there and check them out. Great group of guys. One of Steele's favorites as well. It's funny how Steele and I travel in the same circles, right? Green Pass Gaming tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Central Time. I believe, as Lupa informed me last night, it is 8 p.m. UK time. So come check me out there. Tuesday, back at it with the Xbox Factor podcast. Mr. Boomstick, of course, Double Barrel Gaming, Zemi Games, now 3-bit. The VG HD is also on the Tuesday show with us. We're going to have a great show, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Friday, 2-Tab Friday, as you guys know, 2-Tab Friday, Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation, aka Mav, his amazing wife, and Caitlin, and of course the rest of the Magnificent Seven every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. That's 2-Tab Friday, and then we'll see you back here, episode 16 next Saturday. Gonna be crazy again. You guys enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Independence Day. For those of you in America, 4th of July weekend. Right. If you have a long weekend, enjoy it, relax, get out with the family, grill, whatever you're gonna do, play games. But at the end of the day, man, we're all gamers here, and I hope Steele and I are bringing some great representation to this community because we both have the passion for this, and we love it, and we just really want to do good here. And again, play what you love what you play, and enjoy yourselves. And we'll definitely be seeing you guys real soon. Love you all nonstop. So again, check you later. Steel, tell them, my friend, where they can find you, as you got a bunch of stuff going on, man. You know, as always, my hype man, my brother from another, wouldn't be here without you in any way, shape, or form. You make this go. You do everything in the background like you talk about. You are an amazing individual. I am so happy to have met you and become your best friend along with the rest of the people in this community, but especially you, sir, because I wouldn't be here without you, man. So I appreciate you. Love you. What do you got going on, Steel?
Look, man, I don't have a whole lot going on, man. I'm just some old average guy that plays games.
Whatever.
Man.
Whatever, you've been showing up everywhere yourself. Games, are you kidding me? Big Cast, Green Pass Game. I'm following you around, man.
Hey, man, they just hit me up. I like to blend naturally with people. I mess with I show love to the people that show me love, right? And that's the way that I've always been, and that's the way that I'm always going to come across. And just to answer Trevor's question real quick, he said, "Living split screen. I'd like to see a review game from games you don't like, games from genres you don't like playing. Game Pass gives you the platform to try it, risk free." Trevor, I'm here to tell you that I'm not playing anything that I don't like. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. I'm not doing it. I, as a gamer, know what I enjoy and know what I'm like to get into. I will have my key people that like Pong or like Tempest that'll say, for example, like Cyberpunk, that I was kind of on the fence about, that'll say, "Hey man, try it out, see how you like it." And I fell in love with the game. Right. But the game I was already curious about Cyberpunk from the beginning. I was just on the fence about it. So I already had an interest in it. But if I don't have an interest in it, I'm not going to play it. Not only that, we don't have time like we used to, bro. Like, and so it's like nowadays, if I'm going to play a game, I'm going to play something that I'm going to enjoy. Or something that I'm interested in, fortunately or unfortunately. Now, I can do reviews on games that I probably haven't played in the past, because like there's games like Dead Space. That's a big thing going around right now that we didn't talk about, that I've had gameplay for on this show, because I went back and played Dead Space. You know what I mean? For the first time ever, because I'm a multiplayer-centric gamer. There's plenty of single-player games that I have not played over the years because, again, I haven't cared to. I had no interest in. I'm a multiplayer gamer at the end of the day. But with that being said, man, you can find me everywhere. Steel Rain, the T is a 7. Type it into your search bar. Xbox, Twitter, YouTube, PlayStation. I believe it's just Steel Rain on PlayStation. But either way, I don't have PlayStation anyway right now. So screw that. Type it into your search bar. Come find me. Hit me in the DMs. Let me know how much you love or hate what we do here. And let's chop it up, man. You want to catch up with me? I'm right now rocking on some Halo Master Chief Collection. In my meantime, between time, off of getting off of Scarlet Nexus and in between, I'm kind of balancing to both. I'm trying to get re in line with my Halo veteran status to get my skills back, and also getting my single player fix with my Scarlet Nexus, and just carrying that mantle forward. But with that being said, man, every Friday, GRG, 2-tab Fridays, where gamers recognize game. Come check it out. Have 2 tabs open. Xbox Ultimate, GRG. We get it going to get that weekend started. And then, like Pong said, man, Living Split Screen, where we keep it live, raw, uncut, authentic, organic, and give you the energy that you need to get your weekend started off right. We're right here, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time. Please share this out. Let the people know. Put it on Reddit. I feel like we could be so much bigger than what we are right now. And I don't want that to come across like, oh, these guys are big-headed. No, I just feel like we're trying to talk to we're trying to talk to the masses, man. And anything that we can do to help reach that goal is what we're trying to get accomplished while not being while being non-console centric. It's something that's extremely important to us. 108 says he's downloading Destiny 2 because of you now. Man, I was on the fence last night between playing Destiny 2 and playing Halo. I love both. Destiny gives me the loot chase grind while playing PvP, while Halo just gives me classic, just straight up PvP action. I might hop into Destiny though, honestly, because man, there's always people waiting and ready. As much as I like playing Halo, the older Halos, I like to get.
You got Black Desert. You got Black
Desert too, man. It's just like, I don't know,
Look
man.
at you.
See, but if I start playing Black Desert, that's the problem. If I start playing Black Desert, I might not play nothing else.
New Genesis. What about New Genesis?
I'll give up on New Genesis for a while. I'll put that down. I'm still like wary of New Genesis just for the fact, because you can only get to level 20, man. You know, they're about to release Braver, which is dope. It'll give me a want to really jump back in. That was one of my favorite classes. And then I just want them to raise that level cap up. I hate that. Give me like a level 100 level cap. It's still PSO2. This is just called New Genesis. Give me a reason to really grind. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's like, I'll put other games on the back burner to really play games that I would more so enjoy. And I love getting my PvP fix in, right? I'm so played off of Call of Duty right now. I don't really like going back to Warzone anymore. There's so many better shooters that have better gunplay that I would rather play. So with that being said, man, much love to everybody who's tuned in. Share us out, like, subscribe. Again, tell your mama, your daddy, your great grandmother about us. And with that being said, much love. Shout out to y'all, and we'll catch you next time on the Living Split Screen
everybody.
Morning Show. Peace.
Love and respect.
Much love, baby. Peace.